This video contains gratuitous use of profanity and uncomfortable pauses to compensate for lack of professionalism and original thought. Viewer discretion advised.
Burton's rehearsal for Reading Rainbow, we bring you the Nerdy Manroom with your host, Hassel and Monster. And we got a special show for you this week. But before we get into that right there, we want to thank our sponsors, the Zone Collectibles, who make all of this happen for us right here. They go above and beyond for us. Monster, give a little info on them, please.
Yeah, you can find the Zone Collectibles at their store located in Tifton, Georgia. You can find them on the internet at thezonecollectibles@gmail.com and on Facebook at The Zone Collectibles. If you have any nerdy needs, whether it's comics, Legos, cards, games, more, go search them out and find them. They can take care of you. And also help them sponsoring the local artist community by helping bring unity through community. Fandoms unite.
And your eyes deceive you not. We do have some sweet swag. We got some really cool t-shirts made to us by More Custom Design, also of Tifton, Georgia. And any of you who have, went to any of our social medias, you've seen that we have a cool new logo made by Foxfoot Crafts. She's such an amazing artist. Check her out. She's on all forms of social media. But with that being said...
And also, let's make sure we tell everybody they're also members of our Unity Through Community team along with Through the Zone Collectibles.
We're all one giant community, thankfully. And we've been blessed to have some dealings with all these people there. They're a great community. And if you can reach out to them, you'll be further blessed yourself. But with that being said, we have an amazing episode. We can't talk in links enough. We've been so blessed to have David Howard Thornton on here with us today. We sat down with this man for a little over 2 hours, almost 3 hours probably. Monster overcome his fear of clowns today. We sat down with the man himself, Art the Clown. And it is an amazing episode, and we can't wait for you guys to enjoy this. So we're here this week. The Man Room is so excited. We got the demon clown from hell himself, Art the Clown. We have Mr. David Howard Thornton with us. He has blessed us with an interview, and he's going to spend a little time with us today, guys. And boss, we can't tell you how much we appreciate you, and super thankful.
Thank you. Happy to finally be here after all these technical difficulties.
Skynet tried to battle us tonight. We've been battling for about 2 hours, guys, to get this on the road. So we're finally here.
It's been fun. Yep. Yay, technology.
It will make and break us at some point.
Yes, indeed.
So, kind of just kicking things off a little bit. I've always been curious. I mean, prior into leading into the Art the Clown role, how familiar were you with the character himself?
I was actually kind of familiar with him because I had seen All Hallows Eve like a few years before the audition came up, and I just never thought I would be playing the part, though. I was like, oh, that's a cool character. I would love to play a character like that one day. Because I was like, oh, he's like an evil Mr. Bean. That's awesome. It's like, yeah. And then the audition came up. I'm like, oh my God, I have got to do this. This is perfect for me. Because they were especially looking for a tall, skinny guy that had like experience with like the physical comedy and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. I will do this.
Awesome. What was it that drew you to the character about that made you interested enough to want to audition for him?
Well, I liked him because he's just, he's that fun, mischievous type of character. I like those kind of characters. They're just like, they're always up to no good, but they're funny in their own way too. And plus, I kind of thought it was a cool idea to kind of take that kind of Mr. Bean character and make him a full-on villain, just killing people left and right, because you don't really see that very often. I mean, you have like that with like Freddy and Chucky, but they're very verbal. But you never have, a killer in a horror movie that's like like a silent clown. So it's like, this
Yeah, with
is
art, you
great.
never know what's going on between the ears there. You're just kind of like,
Yeah.
okay, where's he going? And
Oh,
he
yeah.
will twist.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah,
He's
and then,
always full of surprises.
which is one thing that's so great about Terrifier. There's so many twists and turns. And I mean, you know, the victim at the first of it winds up, you find out at the end, that's the, you know, the heroine that you didn't expect,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and the final girl you're leading to the whole the movie is like, oh shit, she just got shot in the face. What do we do?
Yeah, we put a Janet Leigh with her.
You did. You know what? The first time I saw that movie, I actually saw it before I saw All Hallows Eve. So I was
Mhm.
just like, I was at my cousin's house. He's like, dude, you got to watch this. And he's a huge horror buff. He's bigger than I am.
Yeah.
And I'm watching it, and like the whole movie, I'm like, she's gonna survive. Somehow she's gonna do it. And then she didn't. And I was like, what the fuck? And it's just like, wow. So
Oh,
you guys,
yeah.
like, you killed it with that. What are your thoughts on All Hallows Eve? Because like I said, it is all over the place as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, you know, when All Hallows Eve was like written and everything, it wasn't written to be a full movie. It was all just a bunch of like vignettes, and like Damien just like when he hooked up with the people that made All Hallows Eve, he had already filmed a lot of that kind of stuff, and they just decided to make it into like an anthology film. So that's why there's not too much, continuity like between all the different things in there. I guess art is that one connecting thing, but I'm like, he's not like a main character until like really the last one, which was the Terrifier short that Damien had filmed with Mike Gianelli. So what's interesting about watching All Hallows Eve, you actually kind of see the evolution of the look of the character too, because you
Yeah.
have the original OG look where he just looked like a guy with clown makeup on basically, and then he is more gaunt and demonic looking in the actual Terrifier like that they have in there, because those are filmed at different times.
Yeah.
And like Damien had just changed the makeup scheme for Mike Gianelli on there, so it's fun in its own way, but it's like it's more like a proof of concept type of thing.
So how many times has Damien made you up into a lost boy? I've seen several pictures where he's done himself up as a lost boy. So
Yeah, he hasn't done that to me yet. No, I think he
What?
just kind of does that for himself.
oh, he's being greedy with the Lost Boys. I mean, you got to share the love with that.
Oh,
I mean,
that's his favorite movie of all time. That and Jaws. So he loves the Lost Boys. Loves it. I mean, sometimes we'll be driving out places and he just playing the soundtrack in the car and stuff like that. It's a great soundtrack.
as long as he doesn't hit you with the saxophone guy, you're going to be okay.
Oh, that's the funny thing, because we did a convention up in Canada back in 2019, and Tim Capello was there.
Oh,
And
really?
I've never seen Damien geek out over someone so much. He was so excited about meeting Tim Capello. He's like, no, you don't understand. He's the saxophone guy. I'm like, I know, but you don't understand. It's like, dude, we've met so many people. This is who you're getting more excited over anybody.
So he still believed, in other words.
Oh yeah, he definitely did. Yeah, and Tim even did a concert there at the convention too, which was really cool. So he's a really cool dude, So and he wore the whole outfit and everything from Lost Boys.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the dude's still like buff as anything too. He's rocking it still.
And just to be fair, as much as you talked about him geeking out over the Lost Boys, that's how Hassel's been for the entire week or so that we've talked about getting to interview you. Every time he texts me, he's like, "Hey man, you ready for next week?"
That's why I hate all this stuff is happening earlier too, because I'm like, oh god, no, stupid technology.
He was determined that the very first person, if we ever got a celeb on here, was gonna be you, because he was so enamored with you. I will be honest with you and tell you, I've looked at a lot of what your work is, but I am scared to death of clowns. Short of Ronald McDonald and maybe Bozo and Krusty the Clown.
Yeah.
So as soon as he's like, "Yeah, have you ever watched Terrifier?" I was like, "No, what is that?" Then I looked, I was like, "Oh no, I saw that poster before, and that scared me enough to say."
On a small tangent, there was a little fella used to work with me. He's a sweet little fella. He's a young guy, and we were working one Saturday. It was kind of a dead Saturday, and I was his manager at the time. And I said, "Hey, you want to watch a movie with me, Cass?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." So he sits down beside me, and I had it on jump drive. And I throw it in, and about 20 minutes in, he says, "Man, Hassel, I don't know if I can watch this." I said, "No, man, you gotta hang it out. You gotta hang it out, man. It's free money. Come on." And man, when you hit the hacksaw scene, This poor kid turned more white than the art was.
Oh my God, he's gonna turn transparent then. Part 2.
This was a few years ago, and the other day I texted him. I was like, "Hey, dude, guess what?" And I told him, we were going to interview you, and he says, "Oh, I remember that day."
Oh man, that's great. That's great. Because
So
we
how
have not
surprised?
cut back on the gore.
That's why I'm thankful of that. How surprised are you that art has become such a modern day phenomenon and got into the iconic scene he has?
It's a little bit of both, really. I mean, I was surprised because it's like we were a small independent film, so I did not know who would be seeing this thing because we didn't have huge like any real press or anything like that when we first came out, and it was just kind of word of mouth, and like Netflix put us on, and that just kind of boom 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 exploded everything for us. But it is that's where I was like shocked because I was like, yeah, I think this has got a lot of potential, but I didn't know what was going to happen there. But at the same time, I'm not surprised because I can understand why people would be glomming onto this character because, like, when you look at all the slashers that have come out in the past few years, like the past decade or so, even it's just like there's really been nobody, like no real like cool villain that's been introduced. No. They've tried, but they're all just so cookie cutter. They're all just another, Jason or Mike Myers, another dude wearing a mask that cocks his head or something like that. And that's it. There's no personality or anything like that behind him. And it's like, and I kind of look at art as being like an amalgamation of all the slasher icons that came before him. He's like a love letter to all this. There's a little bit of everybody inside of him. So I think that's why people like him so much. Is he reminds them of Freddy and Jason and Pinhead and Mike Myers and Chucky and even Jigsaw. He has all of those characterizations inside of him, and he's got a great personality too. He's not boring to watch. He keeps you entertained, and that's what I liked about him when I first saw All Hallows Eve. It's like, God, this guy's fun to watch. That's what you got to have with these kind of films. You got to have a villain that's fun to watch, that you kind of root for in your own way.
Well, like on one hand, he's like very sporadic, but on the other hand, you could tell he's very well thought out as well. It's like a big combination of the two, and it's like you don't know which way he's going with each murder, and it's like, holy shit, what we got going here is.
Yeah.
I was pretty upset with Netflix when they took that off. I was like, oh man, come on.
Yeah, we had a 2-year contract with them, so it sucked when that thing expired. But who knows what's going to happen once we release part 2?
Is there any update as to when the release date might possibly be, or?
Well, Damien, I think, is going to start shopping around this month. He's got, Epic Pictures got first refusal since they were our distributors for the first film. So hopefully they give us a good deal, and then we can finally get a release date. If not, we got other people, I think, that have been pursuing us and stuff like that too. So I think it's going to be a lot easier for us to get distribution this time than it was the first time, because the first time is like, we weren't a proven commodity then, and a lot of people didn't want to take a risk on that kind of gore because, face it, like so many slashers in the past decade or so have just been so tame compared to what used to come out in that regard.
Well, look at the way the horror generation kind of went throughout the early to mid 2000s. A lot of your horror movies were PG-13. It was hard to even get a good horror. Like, I got to where I wouldn't even go if it was PG-13. I was like, nope.
No, it's not the same. It's not the same because they're thinking that's how you're going to put butts in seats. I'm like, no, because like that's the thing. It's like back when we were kids, they were R, and people still went in droves to see them because they would just go with their, like, even if they're younger, they'll go with their siblings or their parents would even take them, or they'd just sneak in. It's like it happened.
I was 5 years old sitting next to my mother in A Nightmare on Elm Street. Let's put it that way. So, yeah, it's.
Oh, it's.
I'm
not surprised. I remember. I think I went up to a showing of Saw 4 here in New York, and I'm sitting, and there's like this little kid, and his parents had come sitting. This kid had been like 4 or 5 years old, and he kind of freaked me out because he was more into the film than anybody else. And at one point, I noticed out of the corner of my peripheral vision that he's like not looking at the movie, but he's turned and looking at me, and I'm just like, and I kind of look over at him, and he's just got this smile on his face, and he brings his finger up and goes, shh, and then looks right back up, and keeps watching the movie, and I'm like, what the heck?
Wow, that is.
Yeah, that was very unnerving. But now he's probably in his 20s now, so who knows? Maybe he's watching Terrifier.
I think the only time I've been really creeped to that effect by real life things in a theater, we went and seen, I think, the first Conjuring movie, and a family of Hispanics got up and they were praying as they left.
Oh, wow.
And they walked right in front of us, and I could hear them like praying, and I was like, holy shit, this is not good.
No, that's funny. It's like, this is fake, right?
You want to? I mean,
yeah.
How long does the makeup process take?
That takes usually about, originally it took about 3.5 to 4 hours because we had a different process then. Damien would not pre-paint the mask, so it was just, he would have to put all the white on there after he'd put it on my face. But now he started pre-painting the mask before he even puts it on me. So it makes it go by so much faster. And so now it takes about 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours, depending how much battle damage I have to have on me. If the blood splatters, that's the biggest pain in the ass, is the blood continuity. Because we don't film in order, and then we have a different mask every single day, so we have to take so many reference photos of where the blood splatters are and everything like that to try to match it up as best as possible. That's just, oh.
What is it he actually smears on your teeth, and how terrible does that taste? Because it just looks like it would be hell.
That's actually not my real teeth. I just wear prosthetic teeth, so it's just like,
I'm happy for you at this point.
Yeah, that would not be. I mean, those things are not fun anyway because they make me drool like crazy, and that usually destroys the makeup because we've used like a gelatin mask in the past 2 films, and that's very not good with water or like liquid, so it starts to deteriorate really quickly. Especially with all the facial expressions I make, because I have a very elastic face, and so like when I make my big smiles, it just stretches it out and cracks it and everything like that. So that's always a pain in the butt because he's always having to basically send me back to triage and fix my face and everything like that, which is, But we did a little bit experimenting with part 2 near the end, and we tried a foam latex mask, which is harder to make because you have to bake it and stuff like that, but it holds up so much better. It does not deteriorate. And like when we did it that night, he didn't have to send me back to triage at all or anything like that. He just maybe do a little bit of touching up with the black makeup just around where naturally it would just wipe off or something like that. But other than that, it held up just fine. And we've used that at conventions ever since, and it doesn't fall apart. So we're like, okay, we got to do this from now on, because I mean it's so much easier to deal with, and because like when you have to refix everything, that takes time. It takes like another hour just to get everything fixed again, and that's time is money on these sets. We're usually racing the sun, so anything to cut out that hindrance is great.
So is that confirmation for part 3?
Oh yeah. We've had it. I mean, of course, it depends how well Terrifier 2 does, but I have no doubts. I am so confident with this film. So Damien has always wanted to do a trilogy at least with this character. So we already have some fun, crazy ideas for part 3 in mind, and I'm like, I can't wait to see what he puts down to paper, because just the ideas we've talked about, I'm like, oh god, we could do this and this and this, and there's some things that we had to cut out of part 2 that we just didn't have a chance to get to, or something like that, like just time. It's like we couldn't use a location an extra day, so we're like, oh well, we'll just cut this little gag here out, we can do it in part 3 instead, or something like that. So it's gonna be fun. It's going to be fun.
I know you can't spoil too much, but I mean, do we explore I guess the kind of spiritualistness part of art, where he returns every Halloween? Is it kind of, we get a little backstory on that, or a little bit of an explanation maybe?
A little, I would say. I mean, we're not trying to just sit there and do the whole basal exposition thing. This is what happened, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this.
No,
is
no,
why,
no, no, no.
why. So yeah, but I mean, we address it now. He's supernatural in part 2. I mean, we've come out the gate addressing that. I'm like, you have to. It's just like, yeah, no one doesn't come back from, putting a gun in your mouth and firing to the back of your head. Because, I mean, you see the exit wound when he gets up from the coroner's table. So it's like, yeah, you don't come back from that naturally. So, yeah, we're addressing that from the get-go. There's definitely a thing there that brings him back and a reason for it, but we don't even fully explain all of that. We like to think our audience is smart and they can put things together,
Well, so sometimes the mystery it makes it better. Like me and Monster have talked before, like with Wolverine, you love the character so much more before you knew his backstory, and when he didn't have his memories, he was so much more intriguing and interesting.
Yeah, same thing with Joker. It's the same exact thing. It's like you know how the Joker became the Joker when he was the Red Hood and fell in the vat, but you never knew who he was before he was the Red Hood. There are a lot of possibilities. Even like killing Joke is not necessarily the definitive origin of him. He even says in that, yes, I prefer my past to be multiple choice. Yeah. So it's like, that's what's kind of fun about art too. It's like we can take that route with him. We might explain how he became. Like, I kind of even look at Terrifier as his origin story in a lot of ways, how it's just like some guy that dressed up like a clown goes on a killing spree and then he's brought back by something. And it's like, oh, that's his origin, maybe. But, like, who knows who he was before that? We might address that. We might not. I know who he was, but
yeah, it makes it all the more interesting. I noticed you brought up the Joker, and you got the Joker picture behind you there.
Oh yeah,
do you have any inspiration from the Joker into what you were putting into art as to how he kind of acted? I mean, it seems in my head like it would be. Again, I haven't seen art because I looked at it. I was like, that's scary enough alone just to see a few clips. I haven't seen the whole movie, but like, what I have seen is.
But you do have experience playing the Joker as well. So.
Oh yeah. Joker's my favorite villain of all time. So I'm like, I had to put a little bit Joker in art. That was given, especially the way he looks anyways. It's just like, because that's what I like about Joker. He's very unpredictable as well, but he has everything planned out, but not where other people can predict his plans. He makes it look very like he's just going by the seat of his pants, but he's really actually like 5 steps ahead of everybody else in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and did we see that career? You played the Joker in a YouTube series?
Yes, Nightwing Escalation.
Yeah, I've seen that. Actually, I did not know that was you until Hassel and I were talking. He's like, yeah, that's him. I was like, I didn't know that. That was it's been a while since I've seen it, but that was a great little YouTube series.
I wish we got to finish it. It was just I had so much fun doing that. But like since it was a fan made fan film type thing, it's like we got together to film whenever we all could get together and film, and that's just kind of hard to do when everybody's got their own lives. So it kind of just fell by the wayside. So it's like, we got to just put that to rest now. It's just like other people have moved away and all that. But hey, it was still fun to be able to put them on, on video somehow in some shape or form. And I'm hoping someday someone else is going to give me that opportunity to really take them even further and go more mainstream with them. I mean, that's what I really want to do.
Would you say that's probably one of your dream roles is to fall into that?
Oh, always has been. It's just like that's always been my big dream role is to play Joker, and I would actually prefer to play him on a TV series than a film, because with the TV series you have more time with him. You're not just doing a 2-hour film. You can spend seasons with this guy and really delve deep into his psyche and his relationship. Yeah, because he's a very complex character. It's just like he's not very one note as much. Some people think he is, but don't know. Especially when you look at the duality between him and Batman, that relationship between the two characters. It's just like they need each other, and they created each other in a lot of ways too. So
they're kind of lost without each other.
Yeah. So I love that.
Aside when you was on Gotham, but hey, look here, buddy, I got a little clown experience here.
Oh, I tried. I really tried, but they were already dead set on their version of Joker on there with Dominic Monaghan. And so it's like, he was great though, but it's like at the same time, and like I didn't like the way they handled Joker in there because I don't feel like you need to explain who he was before he was Joker, and because that's the thing, like no one knows who Joker is, but in that version, everybody knows who the Joker is. They know he was a Velasca, and there were two of them.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you something because you've mentioned a couple times about the timing it takes to do the movies and the shows and stuff, and I know it's a grueling schedule for you guys when you're shooting stuff. And I imagine most of what you shot was at night. How was that having to? Are you a night owl? Was it hard to adjust to shooting at night?
Yeah, I got used to being a night owl during my waiting days with tables because, like, especially when I worked at Bubba Gump's in Times Square, I would get off shifts like 2:00, 3:00 in the morning. So I'm used to being up late. But still, I mean, like when you're shooting until the sun comes up, that's still rough, and it's you are drinking a lot of coffee. And you're just hoping for that second wind to come in, but it's like it's not really this lack of sleep that was hard for me because I usually just get my adrenaline going and I'm good to go. It's like it's afterwards that's when I crash, and I'm just like for a day. But it's the cold temperatures we were filming in because both films we filmed during the winter here in New York and New Jersey and Pennsylvania, and that was not a lot of fun for any of us. And it's the crew were luckier because they got to wear coats and everything. But like, I mean, I know I was cold, but I look at my female co-stars. I'm like, the night we filmed the hacksaw scene, poor Catherine, she's wearing nothing. And it's like 20 degrees that night, and we don't have a heater in that room. It was just miserable. It was absolutely miserable. And that was the case in part 2. One of the locations we're filming in was in Fright Factory there in Philly, and they don't really have a heating system in there for the winter because it's in a basement of a building, and they're not doing the haunted houses at that time of year. And so it was so cold in there. We had to carry around like those little industrial like jet engine type heaters and stuff like that with us. But we couldn't have those on while we're filming because of the noise and all that. So it's like, oh my gosh. And like poor Lauren would be covered in all kinds of blood and filth and stuff like that. And she's wearing next to nothing in her little Valkyrie outfit. And she's just shivering. And I'm like, I am so sorry. But it added to her performance, I think, in a lot of ways, too. It made it look like she was really scared. And it's like, no, she's just cold.
Monster, could you imagine Art the Clown in full makeup telling you he's so sorry?
No.
It's got to be a very disarming thing because I don't stay in character when when we're not running, not rolling. I mean, with the film. So it's just like I'm myself, and I'm cracking jokes and doing little funny voices and stuff. Because especially when I know some people are, miserable, I want to cheer them up as best I can, and it helps me stay cheerful too. Because I would sometimes get in my little pissy moods as well. Because I'm, day 3, going off of 4 hours of sleep after 2 days. You're just you get a little grumpy when you're cold and tired and miserable.
The night shift life in itself will do that to you. I've done it for some time, so I can relate. It's like several days in a row, and then when you go back to the day shift for a few days, it's like, oh, I'm starting to become human again.
Yeah.
Then you revert back.
Yeah, I think every single member of the cast and crew had like at least one moment on set where we all cracked at one point. It's like, and that's how well we got along with each other, because someone just had a little pissy fit, and we're like, it's okay. It's okay.
It's your day. It's your day.
We're all having our moments. I had my fair share of them, and I felt so bad. Everyone's like, I was such an asshole yesterday. I am so sorry. They're like, it's okay. We're all cold and miserable and tired. It's okay.
When you're freezing covered in blood from head to toe, I'm sure you're allowed a little bit of leeway there.
Yeah. But still, I just hate that because I'm like, oh man, I did not want that side of me to come out.
You know what? If you're apologizing in full makeup and gear, there's nobody in the world that's going to say, I'm not accepting that apology, because I'd be scared anyway. I'm just like, you're all good, buddy.
Oh yeah.
Just whack the horn a few times and you're good to go.
Yeah, but that's the thing. So that's when you're working basically with family. It's just like, it's everybody's like, it's whatever.
Yeah.
What would you say is probably your favorite kill of Art's?
In the first one, because I can't say second one. So
I tried to trick you there.
Because there's definitely one in the second one that was probably my favorite kill now because it's like, holy shit. It's that I will say about that one, it's like, okay, I can say this is my favorite kill, but I can't tell you what it is exactly, but I can tell you what goes behind it. And it's just like, it's one of those things where like the pandemic kind of helped us because we filmed the very beginning of the kill up until when we had to start using prosthetics. And that was right before the pandemic. And even at that point, we had some of our crew members, one is in particular who was a huge horror fan, had to excuse himself from the set because he was getting nauseous.
Oh.
He was just like, oh God, I can't handle this right now. It was just like between that and what was already happening, just like the screams of my victim, he was just like, oh my God. And we had not even got to the nitty gritty of it. Oh, then the pandemic happened. And we're like, crap. Well, we have all this extra time right now. Why don't we just take that time to really revamp this kill? Because what we had on paper was going to be awesome anyway. But Damien's like, hey, let's just swing for the fences here and go full out crazy with this. Let's just do everything, because now I got the time to really make the prosthetics I wanted to make that I wasn't going to be able to make because of the time limits. Now I can do that. So he just revamped the whole entire kill scene. We basically scrapped most of what we had filmed already. And it took us what was originally supposed to take 2 days to film, before the pandemic, ended up taking almost a week to film because it was just so prosthetic heavy.
Wow.
And I have to say, my victim in this scene, this person is like the MVP of the film because this person went above and beyond for this. 5-6 days of having to do this every single day, full out screaming, yelling, in not the most comfortable, situation, because we're filming in the middle, right before Christmas last year, in this big snowstorm up in middle of bumfuck New York, out in the middle of Amish country, in a barn that we just had a wood stove heating us, basically. So it was, this person went above and beyond for this, and I'm just amazed with their performance in this. And this kill's crazy. It keeps going. We have good beats in there and stuff like this. It's like we've shown it to a few people at some conventions because Damien wants to get horror fans commentary on this. Like, what do you think? Because we can't do this film in front of a test audience, so he's used people as his own test audience. He's like, what do you think of this? And we actually had one person who does a lot of the interviews for the celebrities at one of the conventions down in Florida at Spooky Empire. She just started bawling in the middle of the scene.
Wow.
Not because she was sad, she was just so happy. She was like, this is crazy. I mean, it's definitely, if we get an NC-17 rating, I would not be surprised for this scene. It's vicious. It's not nice at all. It's just.
So you just give me a horror chubby right here because gauging off the kills in the first one, I'm excited now.
It's insane. It's just the things, and like Damien went above and beyond with the prosthetics for this. He even built one thing that people are not going to believe is an animatronic. Basically, it's just like this. God, it's insane. It's an insane scene, and I can't wait for people to see it. And it kills me I can't talk more about what actually happens in the scene because so much happens in this scene. I think some people I think this is going to be like a dividing line with people where, like, did they go too far? And that's kind of what we wanted to do here. We're like, we got to push the envelope because no one's doing that anymore. No one's seeing how far you can go with things.
I think the farthest I've seen in any movie other than yours would be the new Halloween movies. He's kind of pushed it to a good level.
Hold back in there. Hold my beer. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, exactly. I mean, I know this. I'm just saying that's probably as mainstream as I've seen get, try to get up there. But
Yeah, this is more like Eli Roth type of territory with the gore and everything. So that's what we were aiming for. It's just like we want people to be grossed out. We want people to just it needs to hit people. That's these kind of kills. That's what's been lacking. They're just like, you just see another person get stabbed and you're like, oh, okay, it's another person. You have to do something more that elicits an emotion out of people. And I've seen, I don't want to name names, but I saw some recent horror films and I didn't get that clinch in my gut that I used to get in a lot of films back in the day. I mean, Saw used to do that to me. Like that, just like, oh God, oh, that's horrible. Hostile, stuff like that. But I haven't had that in recent films, and I'm like, we want to bring that back to the audiences, just like that. Like we want people just walking out, all that, getting disgusted.
You guys definitely do that, especially with the first one. I remember, seeing the hacksaw scene for the first time, and then like the very next day we was at Thanksgiving dinner because we watched the night prior, and my ex-father-in-law they killed a deer. So they dragged the deer up there, and then they're starting to draw and quarter this deer. And my daughter's sitting beside me, and I look at her and say, mind you of anything? She's like, stop, Daddy, just stop. and then the scene with the propane tank, where you smash the guy's head. I mean, because I drove a forklift for years, so I've lifted those 70-pound propane tanks.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, ooh, that would be bad.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a good head smash too. It was like,
oh gosh, yes.
The prosthetic that he built for that was just great. I got to just really look at the details, and because you only see it for a hot few seconds, it's like to really look at what he did with this thing was just like, oh my God, this is gnarly. This is, it's like I have to give a tip of my tiny hat to the makers of Midsummer, because they did a great head smash in that as well, and I was like, that was good. That actually made me cringe, and I was like, good job.
That
good
movie
job.
there has
Thank
its
you.
points as well.
It did. It's that scene, especially with the old people jumping off the cliff, and the one guy doesn't die. And like, oh God, I was like, ooh, that was well done. That was very well done. I'm like, see, that's what's lacking in so many horror films now, is those kind of kills.
What kind of horror inspires you, and what kind of movies would you say is like, if you were to go back and say, you know what, this is my horror movie, this is what I go to?
I'm big into slashers. I love slashers. I think they're just fun, because that's the thing. Slashers don't take themselves too seriously. They're not trying to like, look how serious we're being when trying to hammer in a message into you and stuff like that. You could still have a message, but you're not just like boom, 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 boom. It's like, I feel that's what's been going on with a lot of horror films recently. They're all trying to be more woke or something like that. And look, I'm liberal too, but I'm like, sometimes I'm just like, enough with the just trying to, hammer that into you. Like back in the day, they could do that without, I mean, you look at the original Candyman movies. They didn't have to just slam you in the face repeatedly with the message there. You're just like, oh, okay, yeah. I get it.
It's underlining in us there. You understand it very, very bigly. But like with this last movie, it was just like the opposite. You got 17 seconds of the real Candyman.
Yeah.
And the rest of it, there's Candyman in all of us because of tragedies and whatnot.
Really crazy. And then they pan out like that. The one kill, especially where he drags a person across the glass window, and I'm like, why'd you pan out way far away? It's like, we should. That, of course, that was all CG too. I'm like, I want to see the guy pressed up against the glass and slammed up and pulled across it and everything. That's what gets people. It's like, it resonates better that way. It's like, the best part of that movie is when Tony Todd shows up, and it's like the last few seconds. It's like, this is what we've been needing.
Yeah, is there ever any of the kills and stuff that you shoot on set that just kind of stick with you afterward? Not necessarily as a, hey, this is a great scene we did, or is like, did any of them ever give you nightmares? I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, definitely. Like this one I was talking about, was a good one. We have a lot of them in part two. There's like another kill that happens in part two that was pretty rough too. It's just like, oh boy. I think there will be one kill in there for the guys, especially that it'll be like, oh God, just how women were going, oh God, during the hacksaw scene. So,
Oh,
yeah.
ooh, I think I know where we're going with this.
You might. I don't know. Because, like I said, art's very unpredictable, but it's just like, but that's what
He is.
it's like. I like those that just stick in your mind and just sit there and like. And sometimes that can be really simple. I can't even remember what movie this was, but I remember back in high school I was on like a church trip or something like that, and this one movie came on TV one day, and this girl just got whacked in the head with a chair. And then she falls over, and this blood just starts gushing out of her head, and she died. And it was just, but the way they did it was just like, oh, it was just like, it was so well done. It was just one of those type of kills, so simple but so effective, and it was just so real.
Yeah, those can be impressive. You talk about some of those. I always get in trouble when I see stuff like that, and for some reason, every now and then one of them will strike me. And it's just funny, like the Titanic scene where the boat's sinking and the guy bounces off the propeller, and I get kicked out of the theater for laughing because I was like, "Oh, that's hilarious."
I thought it was so Looney Tunes. See, bong. It's like,
exactly.
oh,
Then when I laughed,
All you
everybody
needed was an
turned and looked
Acme
at me.
hammer just to fall behind him or something, an amble or something.
I felt like that was like Johnny Knoxville's ancestor or something like that.
Welcome to the Titanic. I'm Johnny.
Oh man.
I gotta go see the new one. I gotta go see that.
Yeah, I haven't seen.
I've
that
heard
one
great
yet either.
things, actually.
Yeah,
My
I'll probably
cousin
wait.
went and he hyped it up pretty good.
Yeah, I'll probably wait till it's on DVD because I like all the extras and stuff like that because they usually have a lot of fun behind the scenes stuff and extra footage and all that. It's just like, oh God, oh those guys.
So, are you a streaming man or you're a theater man?
I'm both. I mean, there's certain films I feel that you have to see in a theater though. It's like horror films, especially. You have to see a horror film in a theater with a big group, especially a slasher. You have to see that in a theater with an audience because you just feed off that energy. Everybody's screaming and laughing, and all that. I have to see like Marvel movies or like Star Wars or something like that. I have to see those in a theater too. It's like those grandiose big movies like that. I have to see with a big audience. Now, other films,
movies.
yeah, over top ones. I want to see it on the big screen. Other ones like the dramas and all that. I'm fine with streaming that. That way I can just pause it and whatever. But like, I like action. I like the action
kind of
movies
the way
and
me and
those
Marvel
on the big
are.
screen. Yeah. And that's why I want Terrifier whenever Terrifier 2 comes out. Damien and I definitely want to have it shown in front of an audience at some point, somehow, somewhere, because it needs to be seen in front. Because we got a taste of that when we showed just 4 or 5 minutes of footage at Texas Frightmare last year, and it wasn't even a kill scene. It was just a little bit of art, just messing around with a victim and being art, and just hearing the screams and the laughs and all that was like, oh God, this is like a rock concert. We have to show this. And oh my God, if they're reacting like this to just this little bit right here, oh my God, we can't wait to see how they react to all these other things that happen in this movie.
Yeah.
So, are you guys completely done, wrapped with footage, filming, or?
Yeah. We're pretty much done with that. It's like he's just doing the final edits right now.
Yeah, and Hassel's already told me because we grew up in the same hometown, but I live several states away now for work and stuff. And he's like, "Hey, when this one comes out, you're gonna have to go watch it. So you got to come down here and go watch it with me. So I got to plan my vacation as soon as I find out when it's coming out."
Yes,
this is happening. He's going to battle his fear and phobia of clowns.
Oh yes,
to be there for this.
You got to, because he knows me underneath that. So you're like, it's just Dave, it's Dave.
Yeah, it's a friend of the show, Monster. You got to be there to support him.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to go watch it. I'm going to come down and visit you in sunny South Georgia, and we'll go watch it there. Unless you're going to make, it'd be better if you made the trip up here to Ohio, because we at least get food and beverages in the theater, whereas I know what you have, and you ain't getting none of that there.
We have sticky floors and Bastille popcorn here in Georgia, so
I know how that goes. I'm so thankful for everybody being patient with us, because this the pandemic really delayed things, and then Damien, he's the only one editing this thing basically. So it's like, it's not like the big Hollywood studios where they have a whole team of people that can just boom crank that stuff out lickety split. I mean, that's how they're able to film the new Halloween Ends movie right now, and they're going to be able to get that out by October because they have a huge team, billions of dollars to do that kind of stuff. We don't. It's just Damien sitting at home on his computer, slowly editing and putting in all the special effects and video effects and audio effects and all that, and he's very meticulous with it. He knows exactly how he wants everything to look, and he doesn't want to rush it. He doesn't want to put out a crappy product for everybody, especially since people are, this film has been basically funded by the fans, and so he wants this to be worthy of what they put into it. And it's taken a while, and I but that's how it goes. That's that's just how it goes.
And I got to give him all the praise in the world for the editing stuff, because we do an hour to maybe 2 hour long episode a week just for an internet YouTube, and sitting here
in a case like that, I mean,
it's exhausting just to edit that. So there's no way I could understand what he goes through with that. I mean, it's got to be it's a ton of work, I'm sure.
It is. It's like I mean, just when I do audio auditions for like voiceover, and I have to, edit my 5 minutes of whatever I recorded, that takes me about a few hours to sit there and cut and paste and blah blah, fix everything. And I'm like, God, doing that, but having to do that with all the footage, so many hours of footage that we filmed, having to condense all that, and then you have to put in the music and the audio and the all that. And that's like, I don't know how he does it. And it's just him, basically. It's just
that's where I'm blessed at, because I just get to sit here and drink and record. Monster does all the editing, the post production, and I just get to run the social media. So I mean, I've got it well.
Yeah, but I don't even do one iota of what Damien has to do with. I mean, that's a whole different world. All I do is throw a few pictures in and cut and edit whenever we have mess ups.
He's a hard worker, and that's I hope people really appreciate that, because he wrote it, directed it, did all the special effects for it, then he does all the editing for it as well. I'm like, this is a love of labor for this guy, and he's
well, you feel the love in a case like that. Yeah. You can you feel it. It comes across on the screen.
And he's always sending me new clips and everything, just to, because he does that to all of us in the cast and crew. He'll send us new bits of pieces that he edits, because he wants our opinions on it. It's like, okay, how does this do you think it needs anything else here? And he's willing to hear the feedback and everything like that. And it's just because he knows it's a team effort. He wants us to be the best it can be, and it's like, but I trust him. Oh my God, I trust him. I've learned to really trust him, because it goes back to the first film where we're filming the scene where I'm just standing there frozen, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing? I'm like, what the hell is this? Why am I just standing here? It's like this. How is this scary? He's like, trust me, just do what I tell you to do. Trust me. I'm like, okay. And then he shows me the playback. I'm like, oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I see what your vision is now. Because I don't see what he's seeing until that's the thing. It's what's really weird about filming things is you don't see what they're seeing on camera while you're doing everything. And so sometimes I'm messing up and I'm like, what the hell am I doing wrong? There's a great example of that in part 2, where I'm supposed to be throwing a character, and we're doing it over and over and over and over and over, and I'm throwing this person, I'm throwing this person, I'm throwing this person, and he's like, no, and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? I don't understand. I feel so sorry for the act that I'm throwing, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, I don't know what, and it turned out that I was throwing, but I was leaving my arms out because I thought that's where they're cutting. And so I just didn't continue with the arm motion. I'm like, I feel so stupid.
So it's like pitching. You got to follow through. You got to go through.
I just didn't follow all the way through. I just did the throw and stopped and didn't continue the motion of just I'm like, oh, I feel so stupid. And I could just tell David was getting so upset with me. He's like, why are you not getting this? And like, I don't know. And when I finally did, I'm like, oh, that's what you wanted. I feel stupid. And everybody just starts laughing because it's like, both of us were kind of like, what the fuck do you want? I'm telling you what I want. I don't know what you want.
It's kind of like working with your kids on algebra. It's like,
Yeah.
do you not understand?
And my poor other co-stars over here going, oh, God, I got to do this again. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
So you mentioned earlier you do a lot of voiceover stuff too. Is it harder to do the voiceover or to do the full on-screen acting?
They're totally different from each other in that way. It's just like there are things I like about both. It's like with voice acting, I don't have to worry about how I look or anything like that. I don't have to memorize anything. I just sit there and have all the lines right in front of me, and I just go right there. But I mean, in itself, that's hard to do too, because you're having to do all the acting with your voice. So you can't lean into the physicality and all that to, show meaning and intent and everything like that. So that can be really tough, especially when you're doing fight scenes. Having to do the grunts and everything, or like you're supposed to be running and you're like, well, I'm not really running, so I can't jog in place because they'll hear my feet hitting and stuff like that. So I have to do this. And I'm like, I sound like a dog panting now. And I'm like, oh, this is tough. But the flip side, film is like, I also talk about stage acting, because I did a lot of stage acting. So with stage acting, you had weeks to rehearse and really find the nuances of the character and the performance in those scenes and stuff like that. Now there's a lot of experimentation, and then when you do it in front of an audience, you get the feedback, so you know what's working. Especially when you're doing comedy, you know if the joke is landing right, if you're hitting the right timing on everything, because that's what's always so hard about doing comedy. Is like it's the timing. All that is tough. But you have that audience there, so okay, this is working. But if you mess up on stage, you just got to go with the flow. You're just like, okay, got to improv here, just cover my butt and keep going with the scene. And oh, well, that accident happened, we'll just move on. Film, it's the opposite of that. You mess up, you can just do another take. But also, with film, when you're doing the scene, that's the only time you're doing the scene. So you got to figure out all the nuances right there on the spot, and hopefully I'm one of these people. I always think of things afterwards. I'm like, oh God, I could have done this. That would have been really cool. And I'm like, now I can't do that. So you got to give your all right there in the moment, and then you don't get the feedback. You don't know if the gags are landing the right way, because you don't hear people laughing. And that's like, silence to a comedian is death. You're like, oh my God, this is horrible. And you're just praying by the time they cut that the crew's laughing or something like, oh, thank God. It's like, am I funny? Am I not? And so you have to, in those moments, you have to intuitively feel if everything's landing the right way. And that's even more challenging when you're doing silent comedy, when you're not speaking. So it's like I'm doing all these visual gags. I'm like, I'm hoping this lands the right way. I don't know if this is funny. I don't know.
You're just looking around like, someone validate me, please.
Yeah, and that's when I like, because it's really weird. I get tunnel vision when I'm in the middle of a scene. Like, even when I'm on stage, I'm like, I can still hear the audience reacting, so I know when to hold for last, but I'm not really paying attention to them in that way. So I'm totally engrossed in what I'm doing. It's a weird concept to try to explain unless you've actually done it yourself. But like on film, I don't hear any of that, and I am like, okay, I just pray when I look over, and when Damien's like, cut, I'm hoping he's just over there smiling or something like that.
Instant gratification.
Yeah. So it's like, because I have no idea what the crew is doing, and sometimes they're in the room with me, sometimes they're not. So even if they're in the room with me, I don't see them. I have them totally blocked out of my vision. I'm like, I'm in the moment there. So I'm like, okay, well, hopefully.
Yeah, I can
How hard
only
is that to
imagine.
kind of pull away from the surrounding you have there? Because I'm sure it's, sometimes you very,
Oh yeah,
huge. Whatnot.
it can be hard at times, especially when I can tell something's not landing right. I get in my head, and I'm in my head going, nope, this is not going well. But I got to keep going with the scene until they say cut, because you might still do something afterwards they can use. So you're just like, but it kind of takes me out of the moment there, and I'm just like, ah. Or sometimes I would have like my makeup starts falling apart, and I'm like, oh god. Oh god! And I hear Damien's side going, "David, smile more." I'm like, "I can't. My makeup's falling apart." Like one night, my chin just unglued itself because I was sweating, and I was like, "Oh god!" I was like, "Oh," just flapping around. And I'm like, "Can we say cut?"
And it's brutal under those masks. I got a leather face mask. It's the Tommy from the remake, and
Oh,
for
yeah.
years that's what I dress up as Leatherface and chase and terrorize children with chainsaws.
Oh,
So
exactly.
it's like you put it on and it's just you're pouring sweat under there. So
Oh
I can
my
just
god.
imagine what you're doing.
It's tough. That's actually kind of a good thing about when we have filmed in the winter is I don't have to worry about sweating. But we did some pickups during the summer, and that's when it was like, oh god, my face was just starting to melt off because I was just sweating so much. It's like this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
this is
Sadly,
not good.
it's this is South Georgia, so I mean,
Yeah, I don't know
Halloween
how
is
they
always
deal.
warm here.
How do they deal with Walking Dead with all the zombies with all that makeup they got on? Because I know they're filming that during like the warmer months too, and I'm like, oh
Yes.
my god, I
Yeah,
should
you
have
can
asked.
tell Rick's sweat stains are genuine.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know that that southern humidity. Oh my giddy aunt. It's just I do. It gets like that though. Surprisingly, here in New York City too, because we're surrounded by so much water. So and we got all this concrete, so it kind of gets pretty nasty here too.
Just a
It
different
surprised
type
me.
of heat.
No, it's almost like the same kind of humidity we had in Alabama. I was really surprised when I moved here. I was like, I thought I got away from this because I'm moving up north. It's going to be nice during the summer. Nope.
Yeah,
You just escape the gnats. I mean, that's the only thing.
Yeah, the gnats and the mosquitoes. We still get some mosquitoes, but not nearly. I mean, I used to be a camp counselor for like 5 years, so I was out in that every single day. Oh
Ooh.
God, dealing with spoiled little rich kids. That was always fun.
See, now we know where you get your inspiration for sawing young females in half.
Oh yeah. When you have these little, if I fall off this horse, my dad's a doctor and he's gonna sue you. I was like, then just quit kicking the horse.
There you go.
That's when you pull the Rocky. Sue me for what?
Oh yeah. Oh, my
Yeah.
best one was I had this horrible kid named Nicholas one time in my camp family. I swear this child was the son of the devil or something. He was just evil. He was just evil kid. He would just bite people just for no reason. He just like I'm like, why, dude? No. I just felt like it. Don't. But there's like this one day, and like everybody hated him there. Everybody hated him. They put him in my family because like my camp directors knew that I could handle him. I was always good with the tough kids, the problem kids and stuff like that. And so there's like we had our little horse, corral and stuff like that, and had a little electric fence going around it. Those things aren't going to kill you. It's going to give you a nice shock. Well, Nicholas is like, "Hey, David, I'm going to touch the electric fence." And I almost had like, the Willy Wonka, "Oh, no, please stop. No, don't. Please, no, don't." And I'm like, "Nicholas, don't touch it. It's going to shock you. Please don't do that." And I'm in my head, I'm like, "Please do it. Please do it." And he just goes over there, looks at me. He's got this big smile on his face, like this little shit-eating grin. And he's like, just takes both hands and just grabs the wire.
Beat him, didn't it?
Yeah. And what was so funny, his muscles locked up on him.
You can't get off of those
So he
things.
couldn't let go of it. So he's just sitting there going, and I did, because I knew it wasn't going to kill him. Because I did that as a kid too. I knew what it felt like. It's like, he's going to be fine. So I just casually saunter over to the switch and just go, blip. and just he falls over him. He's like, ah. I'm like,
Want to do that again?
yeah, exactly. I was like, not gonna do that again, are you? He's like, no, sir. I'm like, go take yourself up to the director's office. They'll take care of you. I thought I was going to get in so much trouble from my camp directors too. I was like, oh God, I'm going to get fired. But it was worth it. But they're like, so they're like, what, David, what happened? And I told them. And they like pulled me aside and they're like, they just start laughing. I was like, oh my God, we wish we could have been there for that. It's like that. It's like, I'm just making everybody think we're reprimanding you, but you're fine. Don't worry about it.
See, you were nice about it. Where we grew up, if you grabbed an electric fence like that, they hit you with a tree branch to get you off of it.
Yeah.
We don't turn it off. We just hit each other until you let go.
I had those fuck around and find out uncles that had, livestock and animals, and we had fences, and they were like, hey, boy, go do this. And you're like, oh, why not? So, yeah.
You learn. You learn real quick.
Very
my
fast.
cousin and I learned not to be out in the pasture when the bull was out there. We're like, yep, that thing chased us. His dad like,
too.
yeah, his dad's like, boys, run! And we're like running. We like run through the gate. He slams the gate and turns the electricity. That thing like boom right into the gate. We didn't stop running. We just kept going. It's like, oh my God. It's like, oh, the stupid, especially on that farm. It was my great uncle's farm in Andalusia, Alabama, middle bumfuck nowhere, Alabama. And it's like we would go there every year for Thanksgiving. Big family reunion on his farm, and it's like it's amazing. I'm still alive because they had a swamp right next to their house with alligators and everything like that. And my cousins and I would just go out in the swamps and find like turtle shells and stuff like that. You could occasionally just see the head of the gator pop up. We're like, okay, get out.
It's time to go back to the camp.
Yeah, it's amazing the stupid shit I would do as a kid. It's just like people that know me now would be surprised I did this kind of stuff. It's like, oh, you seem so like straight laced and all this. Like, oh no. I grew up. I was in the South. We made our own fun. We were outdoorsy.
Exactly.
It's like
it's amazing the things that you look back on and you say, holy shit, that used to be fun.
Oh yeah, because I explained this stuff to people here that had never really been in the country before, and I'm like, oh yeah, we used to make hay forts and swing on ropes from cliffs, and they're like, well, you did? Well, yeah, we go mudding and four wheeling and all that. Like what? I'm like, that sounds so redneck. I'm like, that was just fun.
That was just everybody. That's just
it's like
South,
we had
southern states.
We had nothing else to do. This is before internet and all that kind of stuff. We made our own fun.
Yeah, it's amazing the amount of stuff I got into because of Hassel. Because I was the straight laced one. He's the one who drove me into all kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was the kid that I was the one that the parents used as an example. Like, you don't want to be like that Hassel kid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like I think there's kind of a thing where I look back at one thing I did as a kid on that farm where like people should have known I'd be doing horror movies one day. It was like this one day, like it was like a day or so after Thanksgiving, and like they had just gone deer hunting, a lot of my cousins and stuff like that, and we're in the barn and we're playing. My cousins and I are playing in the barn on the hay bales and stuff like that, and then I see the deer heart hanging on a hook. And I had just been introduced to Gallagher, the comedian, in his dramatic routine. And I see his tree stump and I see a sledgehammer. And I'm like, hey guys, I want to show you something I saw this comedian do. So I took the deer heart down, took the sledgehammer, and just went splat! And blood just splat all over us. And we go, go running in. We're all covered in blood, and our parents just are, oh my God, what did you do? My babies, are you okay? We're like, yeah, I'm fine. Smashed a deer heart.
They all look at each other like, that one.
Yep.
That one there.
Oh my God.
I don't know if we ever had it quite that much. I know we had a slaughterhouse and a meat market in our hometown, and if you wanted to go work out before they had the tools to humanely kill them, you go in there, swing a sledgehammer at the head, and hope you get it in one shot. Because if it takes two, it's not a pretty sight.
It will
Oh,
saw
God.
your family.
Well, that's what I think is so funny because, being up here in New York, a lot of people are vegan and vegetarian. They're like, oh, yeah. They're like, oh, if you saw what happened to the animals, you'd not eat them. I'm like, I grew up on a farm, basically.
It
I'm
tastes
like,
just fine.
yeah, I was like, my godmother had a farm. My great uncle had a farm. I was riding horses bareback. I was, killing chickens as a kid, defeathering them, all that kind of stuff. That was just part of life. It was just like, yeah, that doesn't gross me out or freak me out or anything. I'm like, it's like, yeah, he looks delicious.
I've seen the packs that's got like my name was Chloe. I want to look for the one that says my name is Hassel. Kind of like the Coke cans. That's the steak I want. The one that says Hassel on it.
Yeah. Delicious.
Exactly.
It's just
You
like,
guys are getting like a ton of love from Trick or Treat Studios now. Do
Yeah.
you actually, they give you any of this swag at least? I mean, they hook you up.
Yeah. They actually gave me the new figures, and I didn't keep them for myself. I gave them to my family for Christmas because it's like, this is cool. It's like, and my sister, I felt like killing my sister because that thing, it's not cheap. It's not cheap.
No, I want to open this bad boy so bad. I'm not going to lie.
It's so pretty. It's just it's so good.
It's been torn because, like, you see the blank space behind me. That's where he sits typically in our podcast. But I had to get him near and dear to me while we were here today. But it's been difficult not to open him. I'm gonna be honest.
Oh my God, it was difficult for me. But I'm like, no, this is my family. This is something special and unique. This is better than a gift card, which I usually give family every year because I'm like, just go shopping. I don't know. And my sister's like, I'd rather have the gift card. I'm like, fuck you.
You got me in plastic. Come on.
It's like, my God, because my sister, she's, bless her, she's mentally and physically handicapped. She's 13 years old mentally, but she loves dolls and everything. I was like, oh my gosh, she will love this. Because she's always wanting stuff from the film. And I'm like, oh my God, I can send her this doll. She's going to be so happy to have a doll of me. It's like, then she's like, I would rather have that Target gift card. I'm like, okay, fine, send it back to me. I'll keep the figure myself. You can have it. She's like, no, I'll keep it. I'm like, okay, fine. He's like, how many people do you know have a action figure doll of their little brother? You are very unique.
Yeah.
You said, okay, I got 3 Amazon cards and 2 Target cards. What are we working with here?
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. But I'm like, they outdid themselves with that figure.
Yes.
It's just like, I have loved seeing all the photos people have been taking of posing in different things, and it's just like, it's just, it looks so good. I'm like, this is, I'm just floored by the amount of detail that is in that figure, and it's like, oh my God, it makes me so happy. That because my dream, it sounds so silly, but my dream for a long time was to one day have an action figure of myself.
That doesn't.
And you not only have this one, you have this one. You have a bloody variant that I missed out on, and I'm pretty sad about. But you also are now going to have, what is it, the 5 or 6 inch one? A plastic version as well.
Yeah, they're making that, and it looks like it's good. What's really cool is like the little bag it comes with. You can open up the bag and put his weapons in there, and I'm like, oh, that's great. And
I seen the concept of that the other day.
Oh, it also has an action feature that I don't know if I can reveal yet, but I thought it was something we talked about because they released one of like Sid Haig's Captain Spaulding, and had like the stabbing action and stuff like that, and they gave us that option, but they had another idea, and I'm like, oh, that's a cool idea. We haven't seen this done in a while. This very 80s nostalgic type of action feature for a figure. So I was like, yeah, let's do that instead. So I'm excited.
Kind of hoping it's stomping action.
Yeah. Oh, that would be cool. Yeah. Because that kind of reminds me of the Karate Kid figures from back in the day. They all had their own different karate action.
Yes.
I loved mine. I love my Danielson. I had the Danielson that he would do he would chop through the blue karate boards.
I remember that one.
Yeah. I love
So
that.
are you Miyagi-Do or are you Cobra Kai?
Oh, I'm Miyagi-Do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'm a Miyagi-Do guy. I just, it's like I think Cobra Kai just reminded me of all the guys that used to bully me growing up. So I'm like, yeah, they deserve to get their asses kicked. But that's funny that you mentioned that show though, because like, first of all, like Griffin, who plays Daniel's son on there, is actually in Terrifier 2. He has a
Oh, really?
Oh, cool.
yeah, he's plays Elliot Fulham's the Jonathan character, his friend. So I was like, oh, that's so cool. So I was like, I'm so happy they're using him a lot more on the show. So I'm like, that's awesome. But I love the show. It's just like it's one of those shows that it's so cheesy, but so good at the same time. It knows exactly what it is and it leans into it, and it's fun. But what I also love about it is like there's so many gray areas with the characters. Like Daniel's not necessarily 100% great and wonderful, and he's got his flaws, but then you have Johnny. He's got his redeeming qualities despite his flaws. Even Kreese, you're seeing some like
he's coming around this
good qualities.
last season there. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
I'm a Johnny guy myself. He's so 80s and stuck in that
I
era.
love him.
But
he's so funny.
It's my uncle's pretty much. It's like when I look at him, it's like I'm sitting in my uncle's living room.
Yeah.
Which was the worst place to ever walk into as a teenager, because you walked in, they're sitting around and it's like, oh shit. You knew when you walked in, you was fit to get heckled for the next 20 minutes because some other poor soul walked in. So it's like when I watch his show, it's like, that's my uncle's.
Yeah. It's like I think everybody knows someone like Johnny. It's just like, I know so many of those type of characters, especially back home in Alabama. Oh my God, yeah. Oh my God, yeah. It's just like it's a good show. It's a good show, and the fight scenes are fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm a big martial arts person anyway. I love martial arts movies and all that kind of stuff. So just like I like a few years ago, I did a deep dive on Netflix into all these like Chinese martial art films they had on there, and I was like, I really fell in love with Stephen Chow's films. He did like Kung Fu Hustle and Shaolin Soccer and all those kind of things. And it's like, oh God, he's blended martial arts with comedy and slapstick so well. I'm like, this is so good.
Yeah, well, that actually leads us to a question I was going to ask you. What kind of, besides the horror genre, what other stuff are you actually into? Sounds like comedy and martial arts are pretty big on your list.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I used to take martial arts way back in the day, and I took Taekwondo for about a year or so. Back when I was being bullied, my mom was like, why don't we, so you can defend yourself if you have to. I'm like, okay. And then I had I started doing theater around that same time, so I had to choose because, like, I would have to be, my Taekwondo lessons like 3 or 4 times a week, or I'd have to be rehearsing, and they would overlap with each other, and I had to choose between the two. And I feel like I ultimately chose the right path.
You paid off right now, I would say.
Yeah, but I'm like, I've always like, God, that was kind of fun. That was fun. I got up to green belt, like I think third or fourth stripe green belt. So I was like, then I had to give it up. But so yeah, I enjoy those comedy especially too. But it's like there haven't been any really good comedy films in the past decade or so. Damien and I were talking about that recently. Like, what has happened to comedy? It's just like it's like at least American comedy films. There's been a lot of good like comedies that have come out of like the UK and New Zealand and stuff like that. Like Taika Waititi, I freaking love him. Like like What We Do in the Shadows, I think is brilliant comedy. I love the movie and I love the show. There. Oh, I love both of them. They're just it's so funny, and I'm like, I would love to be on What We Do in the Shadows. That's my type of comedy because I love that. It's not dumb. It's very smart, but looks like it's dumb, that's the brilliant part of it all. It's like so much of the stuff that's come out here has just been fart jokes and sex jokes, and that's it. Yeah. Just like the low bar, just comedy. Not like we haven't had good screwball comedies or like good like Mel Brooks or Leslie Nielsen type of comedies in a long time. So I used to love those type of movies back in the day, and it's like, or like National Lampoon. Like we haven't had a good one of those type of movies in a while. It's like this.
That is my staple at Christmas. That is the
Mhm.
like I loathe Christmas movies.
Yeah,
But me and my daughter, we will sit down and we will watch Christmas every year
yeah.
without fail, and we'll quote it the entire time. And both of us are just anyone that watches it, we just hate it because we're both like line for line, and they're like, "Will you shut up, please?"
But it's so good. It feels like the last really good comedies I saw in the theater were like maybe either the first Hangover movie or This Is the End. And
Yeah.
since then, it's just been like, there's just been nothing. It's like, I mean, the Marvel movies do have some comedy elements to them, especially like Guardians of the Galaxy or Thor Ragnarok, but those aren't full comedies like they used to be. And I miss that. I miss that because
I've found that if you watch the trailer for most comedies now, you've seen all the funny parts before you get to the theater.
It's just.
I remember being so let down by Coming to America too, because I was like, I'm the biggest Coming to America fan.
Yeah.
So when I seen they were actually finally coming through, I said, "Oh gosh, yes." And then it was like, "Oh no, what did you? How did you screw this up?"
I have to say that Wesley Snipes in that was fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
You could tell he was having a blast. Just him just strutting to the room and all. I was like, oh my god! I was like, it was great seeing Leslie, not Leslie, but oh my god, Wesley. Why did I say Leslie? Wesley.
Because we missed Leslie Nielsen. That's why.
Yeah. But it was just great seeing him doing something like that again. It's like, oh my god, he's hysterical. He stole the movie. He was great. I was like, this is. But the rest of it just felt like kind of, I don't know. I mean, it did have its moments, though. I mean, and I have to say, I was very happy to see Eddie Murphy being Eddie Murphy again. It was like that's what I've missed. And that's the thing. It's like we don't have Eddie Murphy movies anymore. We don't have Jim Carrey movies anymore. And that kind of, I miss that kind of really good, fun comedy.
But can you really imagine like 80s Eddie Murphy in today's society? He would have been canceled so fast. If you watch Raw or Delirious, there's no way he wasn't canceled by the end of that show.
No way. Like Richard Pryor, especially now.
Wow.
I will say, like, if they tried to make Blazing Saddles today, it would not fly. Ooh. That would just be like, nope.
Yes.
Nope, and that's a sad thing because they're missing the whole point of the movie. It's like that's why they did that. That's why they put that racial humor in there. There was a reason behind it. It was turning the mirror on society. That's what comedy is supposed to do.
I think the last one of those they were actually able to sneak by us was probably Django. Mm-hmm. Because that movie there is like, oh, I love it.
Oh my god,
start to finish is so great. It is so great. And then at the end of it, he's the hero. He wins everything, and it's like, I can't.
I have to say, Django was probably one of my favorite theatrical experiences I ever had, and it's for a weird reason. I was on tour with the Grinch at the time up in Detroit, and we were there for 2 weeks, and we had a day or two off for Christmas and stuff like that. And so a few of us in the cast were like, "Hey, Django's just come out. Let's go see it over at the GM building." And it's like about 5 or 6 of us. We're all white. And we're in there, and we're the only white people in this packed theater. And we're like, oh, this is awkward.
Considering the content when they started fucking with their eye holes, did you?
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like it got to the Klan scene. And before that, everything it was kind of tense in there, and the Klan scene happens, and then we're dying laughing at the Klan scene. And I think when they saw that we were laughing so hard at the Klan scene, they're like, "Okay, everybody, we're on the same page here. Yeah. Okay, cool, we're cool with each other." Okay, and it just got to be so much fun. We're all just shouting stuff out at the screen, and just like woo, hooping and hollering. It was so much fun, and we even had some people after the movie. They're like, people coming up to us like, "Where are you from?" Because
we're from the South, actually.
Yeah, it's like we're not used to your type being in this audience here, because it's that one section of Detroit, and it's like, oh god, no. It's like and that's what I loved about it. It's like It was a beautiful experience in a lot of ways because it's like, yeah, the subject matter of that film is very, very controversial, but for a reason. And it's like that's what I loved about that movie. It's like it's a movie that brought people together in that
It
way.
does. Because like
And
my oldest daughter, she watched it with me, and she knows it word for word. And not too
Mhm.
long ago, my youngest daughter, she's 15 now. She finally watched it with me, and like I felt so accomplished as a father at this point because she watches it with me. Then like a week or two goes by, her little boyfriend comes over. We're cooking out. Well, boy asked could they watch TV out by the pool, and I said, yeah, sure. So I cut the TV on for them out there, and then like she goes back inside, and I listen a few minutes later, and I hear Django playing. I said, wait a minute, like they chose this movie, and I was like, she came back, she said, he's never seen Django. Like she was surprised. And I was like,
Oh my God.
I have made it as a father at this point. I've done something.
That's like one of my favorite Tarantino movies. It's just like it's such a good movie. It's just everything is just so good in that movie. It's so good. It's just so good.
The only one with just as good. It's like, what? It's just.
I
didn't hear you there.
Yeah, I think he
froze up for a second
there. Yeah, he'll catch up to us in a moment.
Yeah. He was frozen today.
Crazy.
Yeah.
The only other one that had is.
He'll eventually catch up to us. We'll just make fun of him until then. I'm all right with that.
Suspense now. It's just like, what is the movie? He's gonna say like, the Polar Express or something like that.
Oh no, he won't come back with that.
Okay, I can hear you now.
You guys.
Yeah.
I can hear you the whole time. So I was just saying that after you guys were heckling me, the only other one that had one-liners to me was probably Pulp Fiction when he looks back and says, "Oh shit, I shot Mob," and it's like,
yeah,
it's great.
Oh, I love his. I would love to be in a Tarantino movie. It's just they're.
But see, we got to make this happen.
Yeah, I think Damien and Quentin need to hook up and like hey, because Damien's a huge Tarantino fan too, so it's just like, oh, let's do this, let's make this happen.
You got Tarantino's over the top scripts and Damien's over the top gore. I mean, that's a match made in hell, right?
God, it would just be wonderful. I would just be happy being in just one scene. I don't care. It's just a cameo. I would just be so thrilled to be in a Tarantino movie. I'm just like, oh, it's like he never disappoints me. I always enjoy his movies.
So what do you collect anything, or do you have like a man room? Because you can see all the nerd shit we have, obviously. So do you have like a man room, or do you collect any type of thing, or?
I would if I had room. I live in a small little New York apartment still with 2 roommates. I need to get my own place now that I actually probably can afford one. But it's like I intend to because I love. There's so much stuff I want to buy. It's like when I go to conventions, I see so much action figures and toys and stuff like that. I'm a huge Lego freak too. I love Legos. I'm just like, to me, that's like zen for me. I can sit there and just build all day and be content. And time will just fly by so quickly. I'm like, oh shit, it's midnight?
Yeah.
I'm like, I love that. And so I would love to have that kind of stuff. I would love to go back and buy a bunch of Masters of the Universe figures again, all that kind of stuff. And just like, Ninja Turtles, all that. Star Wars, Mask,
Oh man, listen.
Yeah.
You are a child of the '80s. We can tell.
Huge child of the '80s. I consider myself so lucky to have grown up during the '80s. It's just like that was like the best time to be a kid because it's right there when video games started coming in, but it wasn't the big thing. So we still had action figures. You still went outside and played and stuff like that. But also we had some of the best movies come out for kids during that time. They weren't those sugar-coated, dumb, happy, friendly movies. I mean, sure, we had Care Bears and stuff like that, but we also had Goonies and Monsters Squad and stuff like that, where they had no problem scaring the shit out of kids. and it was fun, and we loved it.
We had R-rated properties as cartoons.
Yeah.
I mean, you had Rambo, RoboCop, things of this
Yeah.
nature as a cartoon. I mean,
Yes. It's like because I was playing like with like the RoboCop figures before I saw RoboCop the movie. I saw the movie and I was like,
yeah,
oh.
yeah.
That's
We
a
were
movie
probably
that still holds up.
the last group of kids with balls.
Yeah. It's true. It's like now it's like everything plays by themselves. Like, you don't, there's no imagination behind it. I don't see kids getting action figures like we did. I'm like, that's really what started me doing all my voices. I would do all my voices for my Ninja Turtle figures, and I would I'd have my story. I built my own sets and stuff like that. I would use cardboard boxes. I make breakaway windows and stuff like that, skylights and everything. I made my own Gotham City at one point. I converted my dad's stepladder into like the Empire State Building, so I would have them fighting on top of the building. Then Shredder would fall all the way down. I'm like, no! It's like that was fun, and I would do that all day. And
well, you didn't really play unless you spent at least 3 hours setting up to play.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah,
that too. I loved it. I loved it. So that when I would play with my action figures, I'd usually play with myself. Sometimes friends would come over and I would get annoyed because they're trying to do their own story. I'm like, no, I have the whole plot in my head. I know where I want this to go.
We have a script. Stick to it, people.
Yeah, but I would allow them to still come over because one friend had the turtle blimp. I'm like, I need that in my story.
Yeah, you got some props I need. Could you come over for a little while?
Yeah.
That sounds real familiar there, Hassel. Mess up all my plot lines we had going on.
I might have been guilty of this a few times.
Well, then you'd also just go outside and have adventures. I remember even though I was almost too old for it because I was about 13 or 14 at the time, like when Jurassic Park came out, I was like one of the older kids in the neighborhood, the younger kids, and we all would get our Nerf guns, and they were building a lot of houses and stuff like that, so we had a lot of empty lots and everything at that point. And so we'd just go out and play and all that and pretend like dinosaurs were coming after us and pew pew pew. There was like this one great but it was like this strip of land between a ditch and this whole row of houses where they had the back fences and stuff like that. So there's this long line of space, and so we'd just pretend that's where we're getting chased by the T-Rex or something like that. So we're all having to run, like God, run! We're all turn around shooting back at it, and it's like I love those adventures. We would have adventures. That's the thing. It's like that's why I love the movie The Goonies, because that's exactly what my friends and I would do in the neighborhood. Is do that kind of shit. It's just like we'd go out in the woods and build houses and stuff like that, and God, that was fun. You don't see kids doing that anymore. It's kind of sad.
No, you don't.
No.
Luckily, I've been lucky enough with my son that he loves everything that I love. Like his whole bedroom, where I have Transformers back here, his whole bedroom is full of them. He's got 3 or 4 bookcases full of them. And
nice.
His teacher asked me when I have to have parent-teacher conferences and stuff after they get their grades, and she's like, "This English teacher, well, he writes these great creative stories. What do you do with him?" I said, "I leave him alone in his room with his Transformers, and he comes up with whatever he comes up with."
That's awesome. You gotta love it. Because then that's the thing. It encourages imagination and creativity, and it's like now. I love video games. I play video games all the time. Don't get me wrong, but like for kids, that takes away all the imagination because you already have everything self-contained right there. They just have to press a button or something like that. So they're not making up their own stories or anything.
Well, they're into that screen generation. That's us.
Yeah.
I see it with my youngest boy all the time. That's kind of his deal. But
yeah.
Speaking of video games, what is your go-to video game or your all-time favorite video game?
Oh, any of the Legend of Zelda games. I'm a huge Zelda fan. Love those. Also love Resident Evil games. Big fan of those. I love the Assassin's Creed games too because I'm a big history buff, so I love that. Kind of makes history come alive and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I've been playing the new Psychonauts game, which I've been really enjoying.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, the first one came out about 15, 16 years ago, and it's really creative. It's hard to explain the games. Basically, you're a kid that has psychic powers, and you can go into people's brains and figure out what's going wrong with them and stuff like that. But each brain is totally different from, so you find out what's going on with their psyche. So the level design is really great with it. It's fun. Very creative. I love that kind of stuff. I just finished playing the new Guardians of the Galaxy game, which is really good.
I've got that and I haven't even turned it on yet. I just got a PS5, so I've played two Spider-Man games so far, and now I just finished Miles this weekend. So this coming weekend I'll start on Guardians.
Oh, you'll enjoy it. It's fun. I finished it yesterday.
Well, which level did you play it on?
I played it on the PS5.
Well, I'm saying, did you go easy, medium, hard?
Oh, yeah. I played on normal.
Yeah, I fucked up and put it on medium to begin with.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of regretting that at this point because some of those endurance challenges, they're aggravating as shit anyways. And then you, like on the medium level, it's like, why can't I just go back and put this on normal?
Yeah. I do that. I mean, there was a time where I was like, no, I'm going to play it the way, that's going to play it on hard mode. I'm going to play a hard mode.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I just don't want to get frustrated anymore. So I mean, sometimes, and I've played games where I'm playing on normal mode and it still gets really frustrating hard. I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to put it on easy for this little bit and flip it back to medium when I'm done with this one battle. Cause I'm like, fuck it. I've tried 10 times and I'm basically having an aneurysm here. So I'm like, no, it's not worth it.
I know that pain.
Yeah.
I'll cut one off in a heartbeat and just leave it, and I'll never come back to it.
Yeah. That's how it was with Bloodborne. I tried. I got to one point in the game, and I literally got a migraine that day from the game. And I'm like, because I was just getting so pissed off at it. I'm like, I'm not having fun.
No.
This is bringing me no joy. I'm turning this off. Done.
It's supposed to be an escape, damn it.
Yeah, I was like, and that's the thing. It's like when I realize I'm not having fun, I just need to stop.
Yeah.
I did that. Like I beat Miles Morales. I beat that Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. But I was playing the regular one, and I was about halfway through it, and I was in one of those web slinging chases where you're like chasing the helicopter.
Yeah.
And it kept getting away from me. And about the 47th time it got away from me, I said, you know what? Fuck this game. I will Google the ending and just find out how this ends.
I've done that a few times. I did that on the latest Wolfenstein game that came out, the one where he plays his daughters. Mm-hmm. And I was up in the final battle, and I wasn't playing it co-op, and you could tell that battle is designed to play with co-op because you have to have one person going behind the enemy shooting. Well, one person to distract the enemy so the other person can go behind them and shoot his weak point. Or it's just basically a battle of attrition. And the AI in there just doesn't do it that way. It's like, no, I want you to distract me. Quick, come over to me. It's like, damn it, no. And it was just this battle of attrition. And I'm like, I tried it over and over. I spent maybe like 3 or 4 hours trying to defeat this final battle. And I had breezed through the rest of the game. It was just like the difficulty spiked so much with that final fight. I'm like, fuck this. I'm going to just Google the ending. I'm like, fuck it.
Been there and done that.
Yeah,
many times.
I feel no qualms doing that anymore. I'm like, nah. I'll just...
My father looked at me as a young child and said, this boy has much quit in him.
At some point, you just got to realize, sometimes that's like, I'm just not going to beat this. This is just too frustrating.
Yeah, it's time to move on every now and then.
Especially when it's like an RPG and you're just not leveled up enough to fight that final boss. It's like I had that on Persona 5, and it looked like I was going to have to grind for like 10 levels to get up to the level I was going to have to be able to be at just to maybe defeat the boss. I'm like, nah, fuck that. That's going to take, hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of grinding. I'm like, no, I don't have enough. There are other games I want to play.
The Batman game where you could either level yourself up or the Batmobile. That was the one that got me because I don't give a damn about driving the Batmobile. Mm-hmm. I want to get out and kick ass. So I'm about leveling Batman up the whole time. And I got Batman. He's fucking full up. And then it's like you had to level the Batmobile up, and I didn't realize this.
Yeah.
So like the first scene with the helicopter, he's just mauling my ass up. And I'm like, what the hell am I doing wrong? Our friend Josh, he's a master. Like he's the guy that he found every one of the Riddler trophies, everything.
Yeah. I did that
too. He's like, "Oh, dude, you got to level up the Batmobile." And I was like, "What?" He said, "Yeah, you got to level the Batmobile up." And I said, "Man, fuck that piece of machinery. I ain't playing that no more. I'm done."
That was my big qualm with that game, is they relied too much on the Batmobile,
Yes.
too much of the tank sections, and I was like,
I
oh,
wasn't
another
happy
tank
with it.
section. I was
Yes.
like, it's fun when you do it every once in a while, but when you're having to do especially when it's just tank, where it's like the army of tanks you're just having to fight. I'm like, God, I just want, I want to be Batman again.
I just want to lurk in the shadows and be vengeance,
Yeah.
damn it. I don't want to be a tank.
Yeah, I was like, if I want to play tank, I'll play Tank Commander.
See, that's the best part of having a child who enjoys the same stuff I do. If I get to a game at the point that I can't beat and he plays them all the time, I'm like, here, you do this. Just don't go play the boss. Give it back to me before we get to that point.
Yeah, just get me over this one hump right here.
Yeah, I don't care about collecting the pigeons that Spider-Man's chasing. You take care of it and give it back.
Oh God, that makes me think of the pigeons they had in Grand Theft Auto 4. It was like, oh, trying to find every single one of those damn things.
Yeah, I actually the fifth one of that was the first one I ever played. I just never got into him. My son wanted the fifth one. I was like, all right, we'll get him. I played it a little bit, but he again he gets to spend much more screen time than I do.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I like those. I especially Red Dead Redemption. I love the Red Dead Redemption games.
Those were great.
That was a fun series right there. I kept getting banned from town pretty quickly.
Oh yeah. That's a beautiful game too. It was just like, it's like that the one area where you go into where it's the coal country, and it looked like the area of the Appalachians I grew up in. I was like, oh my God, I can smell this scene right now.
You smell the dust just coming up out of it.
Yeah, I was like, I can smell nature right now. It was like the visuals were just so good, and the sound design, like when you shot rifle out there in the mountains and you hear it echoing through the mountains. Yeah. I'm like, oh wow, good sound design.
So we're doing the research.
We were going to get to see Art the Clown as a character in the game, or
God,
going on a killing spree somewhere.
We would love that. Damien and I were talking about that recently. Where I was like, especially Dead by Daylight, he would be an easy fit into that game. I think that would be a great idea, especially that'd be a great way to promote Terrifier 2 as well. I think it's like have that release Art at the same time Terrifier 2 comes out, and release him also in Dead by Daylight. Boom, synergy. Get people.
He's a perfect fit for that or the Mortal Kombat DLCs.
Mortal Kombat. I agree. What I was thinking.
Oh my God, that's the other one I was gonna say. It's like, my God, I would love to be a DLC for Mortal Kombat. Oh my God, I would be so happy because I love those games.
That's a no-brainer at that too, because you could just do so much with Art.
Oh my God,
with the combat universe.
You can make him like Joker was, just pulling out different things and just like he lend himself so easily to Mortal Kombat. I'm like, Ed Boon, please, man.
Hey, we need to start this. We get on Twitter and just start hounding him. Like, look here, buddy.
Yeah.
Get this done.
They got to be working on a new Mortal Kombat game.
Oh, yeah.
It's in the works, I believe, but I haven't heard any of the promo stuff. But
I would love a new Mortal Kombat. I'd love a new Injustice game.
Those were underrated to me. I enjoyed the Injustice ones.
I played the crap out of Injustice 2. I was like, oh my God! I think my mains on that were Flash and Green Arrow.
I enjoyed the Flash. That was my favorite one to use.
Yeah.
And I'm a bigger Green Lantern fan if I'm reading the books, but the Flash was just to me.
I enjoyed Shazam myself. I was a big Shazamer on those.
He wasn't bad either.
I was just like, I got really good with both of those guys. I was just like, bam, I'm doing good. I love that whole thing. You could unlock different pieces of armor and change your looks, and they all had their own attributes. And I was like, this is cool.
Yeah.
I was that scumbag that went to the one that had Scorpion, where he was downloadable. Mm-hmm. And I was always so good with Scorpion on Mortal Kombat, so it's like, we'll just stick with what I know here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, well, Scorpion's great too. He's like one of my mains in Mortal Kombat too. So I'm like, he's Sub-Zero. I used. In this one, the latest one, I used Kano a lot. I got some really good combos with Kano, and I was like, wow, you made me love Kano. I'm like, wow.
Well, somehow or another, it seemed like a dumb Scorpion down this last one here, because like in all the other ones, it's like anytime me and my friends were playing, like, you can't play with Scorpion.
Yeah. I got really good with Jade as well. I just love the bow staff. I love using a bow staff. Like when I played Soul Calibur back in the day, I was using Keelik and stuff like that. So I just love bow staffs as a weapon. I think it's a cool weapon.
You got some hidden Donatello in you there.
Yeah. He was always like my second favorite Ninja Turtle. But when I played the games, I was always playing as Don. Because I was like, yeah, he's got the, especially the old NES one, he had the best reach with his weapon.
Yeah,
It's
he had
like
the range on him.
Mm-hmm.
We actually were playing that last weekend. Me and my fiance, I got a Raspberry Pi, and it's got like pretty much any game you could think of. So like we were just kind of digging around on there, and she was like, "Well, I want to play." I was like, "You actually want to play?" So I was like Michelangelo. So I was like, "Here, you be Donatello," and she was like, "She did pretty good. We got through a couple levels there." I was like, but it was like my Raspberry is like it's got 90% of the games are in American. Then you got that 10% that's in Japanese.
Oh yeah.
So we got the shredder, and it's like I couldn't understand any of the shit that was being said there, and I was like,
He's speaking his native tongue though, so
yeah, like it's coming across the screen, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Especially when it's an RPG, you can't play it that way.
No,
It's like I don't know what I'm doing.
You know, and I discovered that wow, I may have been good at some of those in the day. I can't go back to them now, but based off of playing today's system and that, because my timing is just so far off that I can't survive one level.
Castlevania is the worst. Like I used to love that as a kid. I can't make it through 3 levels of Castlevania today, and I'm sad at that.
The original, the first 3. Oh my god, those were hard. Yes. Castlevania 3 was a very hard game. Very hard game. That's another one they need to make another one. We need another Castlevania.
Thank you.
Oh my god, we need another Castlevania.
It's been since PlayStation 3 since we've had a Castlevania. I'm pretty pissed about that. Yes.
Yeah, the Lords of Shadow.
Yes.
Yeah. Those were,
and that was a great mythology. They had a great story with that. I mean, you had Patrick Stewart doing some voice on that. I mean, it was really good.
And wasn't Kojima involved with that too? Hideo Kojima,
I believe so.
Yeah. I wonder what he's going to be doing now since he's no longer with that studio anymore. So I'm like, oh man, because I still feel like the last Metal Gear Solid game was, you could tell they did not finish the game all the way.
No.
Yeah.
I was like,
you could tell it was like missing some direction.
Yeah. It was just you could tell when it's like, okay, he's no longer with them. He's like, yeah, we're done. We're just gonna shoehorn some of the ending. We're just gonna make you replay some missions. Yeah, it was. Oh man, and because then they show you the things that they cut. Where you go to another island and they got Liquid, and you're having to battle Liquid and stuff like that with his mech, and I'm like, oh man. You're going to show us that, but not let us do that? Come on. It's like, you should have let this thing marinate for another year or so and then release it. I would have been fine with that. Because I love Metal Gear Solid. I love those games.
I think
like, if you go to a con, do you like ever incognito and just kind of sneak around or...
No, not really. I haven't done that yet, but a lot of people don't know what I actually look like unless I'm sitting at my table. So so I have been able to just walk around and, just check things out and stuff like that, which is kind of fun.
Get the vibe of the place or whatever.
Yeah. I'm always amazed when people actually recognize me outside of costume, so I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, I was pretty bummed out that you were going to be in a Days of the Dead in Atlanta this year because I was like, super excited hoping that.
Yeah, I was there what was it, September? Yeah, but it was like the week before Dragon Con, so it was like everybody was saving up for Dragon Con, and I was like, oh, this is a bad time to do Days of the Dead because it was so dead.
Well, the one before that was like in February, and it was just before the pandemic started hitting us down here.
Yeah.
So, because we went to that one there, and I was fortunate enough to meet, the majority of the cast of Night of the Demons.
Yeah.
Which I love. But so this will be the first one I've got to go back to since, and I haven't been to a con since early 2020. So. Oh
yeah. It was, oh my God, I was so glad to go back to conventions last year. That year of not doing it sucked. I was like, I missed it so much. Because I had fun. I have so much fun of those things.
Yeah, I've gotten to go to a few here and there, but in the area I'm in Ohio, there's always something going on, even if it's at the local toy store and they've got, a couple weeks ago they had a couple of the original Power Rangers cast. They're just signing
That's
autographs. Like it's not a
cool.
full con, but hey, I can go hang out for a little bit.
Oh, exactly. And sometimes the talent does better at those smaller things too, because it's like people just come to see them.
Yeah.
I did one of those out in California last year, and I was like, other than like my time at Texas Frightmare, that was the best I ever did. And I was like, holy crap! And I had no idea what to expect because it was just a Halloween store, and there was a line around the building both 2 days I was there, and I was like, are
Oh,
you
wow.
kidding me? These people are all here for me? This is insane.
You undersell yourself. You've got quite the following.
Yeah, it's growing. That's what's been interesting is like pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, we've seen a big increase in the fan base because people were stuck inside, and so people were watching Terrifier, and so I was like, wow, our fan base grew.
And I kind of got the feeling too, especially like going to some of these smaller stores and getting the signs and stuff, and like you were talking about at that Halloween store, that for you guys especially, to get to interact with the fans and stuff is probably a much more relaxed setting, because when you're in a con, there's hustle and bustle everywhere.
Oh yeah. It was a lot more relaxed. It was fun. I enjoyed it. But I try to be as relaxed as I can even at the cons. I geek out myself with the other celebrities that are there. So it's just like, oh my god, this is such and so and so. I grew up watching you. I'm like, play it cool, play it cool.
Yeah, I don't have the play it cool factor. I'm like, hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't understand being starstruck until you actually are there, and it's like, I don't know
Oh
what to
my
do with my
God.
hands. You get all Ricky Bobbied up or something.
I'm glad to have Damien with me sometimes because he's really good with icebreakers and stuff like that. And it's just like, because I get so just like, hi. It's like when we met Greg Nicotero up in Chicago, I was just like, oh, hi. And Damien's just like, hey, man. And the great thing was the first time I went up to him, I was in costume as art. And so I was like, I don't have to worry about talking right now. I can be in character.
There you go.
And then afterwards, I went up to say, hey, this is actually me. He's like, that's great. Now I know what you actually look like, David. I'm like, yes. He's like, oh, you know who I am. Please
just let me pet your hair a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, he's a really cool dude. He's really, really cool, down to earth type of guy. So, and he's of course, Atlanta based, pretty much. So that's always good for you guys down there.
It is when you actually get to run into them. I haven't got to go up around in that area and since pretty much all this has started. So this will be my first trek back north of here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's about time though. I'm glad things are getting back to normal in that regard, because it's just like, ugh, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of those, when do you have another appearance at a con or anything coming up?
I have my next appearance next week, actually, down in Charlotte for Mad Monster Party. So I'm excited for that one. Then next month I'm doing Horror Hound. I think Horror Hound. It's either Horror Hound or Monster Mania I'm doing next month. Oh, no. Yeah, Horror Hound. Yeah, I'm doing Horror Hound next month.
Okay.
In Cincinnati. Yeah.
In Cincinnati.
Hey, there you
go. Where I live.
Yeah, so you got to come out.
Awesome.
You guys, we got to make this happen. We're right here, right now, Monster. You have to hit that.
Yeah.
And go meet.
I will make that work.
Yeah, it's my first time doing a Horror Hound too, so I'm excited. I hear that's a really good one.
Is it your first time in Cincinnati or just the first time at that convention?
First time at that convention. I was in Cincinnati back in 2013 when I was on tour with How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're there for about a week or so.
Yeah, it hasn't changed much probably. I've only been here since 2019, so I can't speak on how it was back then, but it's a nice area. It's not too bad.
I wish I remembered the restaurant I ate at one night. It was right around the corner from our hotel because I had one of the best burgers of my life at that restaurant. It was just like, it had like this raspberry chutney that they put on it and like smoked Gouda. And it was just like, oh my God.
I'll have to ask. I'm not sure. I don't get down into the actual. I live in the outskirts
Yeah.
and what they call
Oh, okay.
area, so I don't get there very often. But my ex-wife goes down there a pretty good bit and
Yeah.
does stuff. So she works down in the city. So
That's cool. It was a fun time. I enjoyed it.
it's an interesting town. I've lived in a few other. I've lived in Memphis and New Orleans, and
Mm-hmm.
I will say Cincinnati is one of those where they have everything that other big cities have, but it doesn't really necessarily have its own kind of
No.
personality, I guess.
Yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah.
Like you know what you're getting when you show up in Memphis or New Orleans. So it's
Yeah.
it's
Especially
a little
New
bit
Orleans.
different. Oh
New
yeah,
Orleans is that's just like
Oh,
yeah.
man.
That's it. You don't get that experience anywhere else. Same thing with San Francisco. Same thing with New York City. Same thing with Chicago. They all have their. Oh, looks like Dave just left.
yeah. He got kicked off. I think his internet was freezing up on him.
Man.
He'll
But
be
yeah,
back, I'm sure.
okay. Hopefully he's not having the same problem I had. But yeah, it's like that's what I love. Like the different cities have different vibes to them. So that's why I like traveling to different cities, doing these conventions and everything. It's like, oh, this is cool. All right.
Yeah, and Hassel and I are both from South Georgia, but I've moved around so many times for jobs. I said I lived in Memphis for a year and a
Yeah.
half, New Orleans for 4 years, Cape Girardeau, Missouri for 5, and
Oh wow.
Cincinnati now. But my job also travels, so when I'm not
Yeah.
here, I might be up in Brantford, Canada, or Hoopany,
Oh,
Pennsylvania, or the middle of nowhere, and it's always nice to get around and get to see other countries. Especially like I love going up to the Canada site because it's so. PC is not a word in Canada.
Oh yeah, Canada's great. I love it. It's like if it wasn't so cold up there all the time.
Yeah. That is a little bit of a struggle, I will admit.
Mhm.
But
I was
love
up.
going up there.
I went to Edmonton in January 2 years ago for a convention, and it was like negative 30 degrees. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, so you went to the really cool part. Farthest
Oh,
I've gone
yeah.
is Toronto. So I'm like,
Yeah, Toronto's awesome.
It's not too much different in weather-wise from Cincinnati. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
little bit colder, but not much. I was like, I'm not
Yeah,
sure I'd survive in
Toronto's
Edmonton.
nice. Toronto's like clean version of New York City.
See, I've never actually even gotten to stop in New York City. I've
Yeah.
flown through there and stopped at the airport, but never been to the city itself. So
Yeah.
I've never gotten to experience it. But everybody kind of says the same thing that Toronto is similar to it, I guess.
Yeah. I was there also for 3 weeks with Grinch, and we were there right during Christmas, so that was really cool seeing it and all that. So that was a lot of fun that way. So I was like, yeah. But I've been there a few other times with conventions and stuff like that too. So it's nice to be able to visit.
Yeah, and in the Grinch, were you? Because I saw that you were in the stage version of that. Were you the Grinch or were you?
I was his understudy. It was Stephen
Okay.
Carl, who was Robbie Rotten from Lazy Town. That was the Grinch, and I was his understudy. But I also played Grandpa Who for a few years.
Okay.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a fun time. Now, what part of Georgia were you from originally?
It's a small town called Fitzgerald. It's
Okay.
Trying to think of the closest big areas. I mean, I know you're from Alabama, but
I went to Georgia all the time because I had
Hey.
Hey, there he is.
Hey, you made it back.
He's back.
Yeah, I had to reset the old router there.
Yeah. Oh, God, I love it.
So,
Yeah,
Not at all.
my mom's side of the family, they had a lot of like family that lived in Georgia. Like my great aunt lived in Atlanta in College Park, but like her kids lived all throughout. So like, especially my cousin Bill lived in Helen.
okay, yeah, I know where that's
Yeah.
at.
Yeah, that was a really nice
Beautiful,
area.
beautiful area.
It really
Beautiful
is. It's nothing. That's a very unique area too, because it has that like German like
Yes.
town type of feel to it. It's like you just like, whoa, am I in Georgia right now?
There's nothing like being there during the holidays. I will say that.
Oh, I
It's-
imagine that's
dude.
really cool.
It's they go all out. You have the fall leaves, but at the same time you have some snow, and then they got all the Christmas set up in the old town there,
Yeah.
so to speak, and it's amazing.
It's been forever since I've been there. It's been over 20 years, and I would love to go see it again because I loved it. I loved it. I remember they also had that train museum in there where they had the big, huge train set.
Yeah.
It was huge. I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's still set there and set up, isn't it, Hassel? It's been a long time.
It,
since I've
it's
been
there.
there.
It was there last time I was there, just probably about 2 years ago.
Yeah,
Okay.
we spent like a few hours in there just looking at that thing because there's so much to look at on it. It's like, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's very you can get yourself lost there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I also remember like back in the day when we visited one time, my sister was insistent that we had to go to the Cabbage Patch nursery, which I thought it was
You didn't want to build a Cabbage Patch?
I thought it was the stupidest thing. Oh my gosh, it's being born. I was like 8 years old. I'm like, this is stupid. It's like, why? It's like, well, David, we do all this stuff for you. Now we have to do something for Vonda. I'm like,
And I don't want to share. We don't want to do that.
I don't want to be in here. It's all girly crap. I hate this.
I'm the oldest of 6, so I can relate to that.
Yeah.
It's almost like, do I got to let them be player too? I mean, really?
Yep. Just unplug the controller, let them think they're playing.
Oddly enough, they doesn't. I've done many terrible things like that, but yeah, they catch on after a little while.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Though most people didn't realize you could play as the duck on Duck Hunt.
You know what? I didn't know this till a few years ago.
Oh yeah.
I am ashamed to know that, but
I only knew it as a kid because like we read that in the instruction manual. Like we're like, what? And then I would just totally fuck over my friends.
Yeah, I didn't know that until Hassel told me that. So after he found out, I was like, well, damn it, I never got to do that.
Oh, I would piss people off. They didn't even know I was controlling the duck. And they're like, why is he doing this? They've never done this before. Because it's just going,
why is he running in a zigzag pattern?
Yeah. How, though? That's the biggest question. How many?
Oh, no, he's frozen again.
Yeah, he's going to struggle with it. That's all right. I'll just make fun of him the whole time.
Bless his heart.
You know that has a whole different meaning from the side.
I know. Oh, now he looks all dejected.
I am.
It wouldn't be the first time. He'll live.
Oh my God.
He got unfroze long enough to say he was.
Yeah.
I hear you guys great.
Oh man. Oh man.
Well, you're going to fast forward now.
Like,
just let me know when I'm back in normal.
Oh yeah, you seem normal,
you're normal
now.
Well, as normal as you can get.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I heard you guys perfectly. It's like, just sit here and be heckled. It's fine.
Yeah. Oh well.
It'd be the same thing if we were in the same room.
Yeah, it would be. It would be.
That's how you know you're friends.
This is the beauty of our show. It's two assholes going back and forth, for a couple hours. So you just get to be a part of it this time. We appreciate it.
It's like that's how like my best friend Steve and I were growing up. We would just be so mean to each other. People are like, "Why? And like, it's all with love."
Yeah.
It's just like
that's what I used to tell some of my employees. I'd be like, "Look, if I don't give you shit, I don't like you. So if I give you shit, just know I like you."
Yeah, it's like if I don't like you, I'm just not going to talk to you.
Exactly.
That's how you know I don't like you. It's like because I was very sarcastic, especially in college, and people like girls that my roommate would date. They're like, "Do you like me?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm talking to you." If I didn't like you, I would be giving you the silent treatment every time you came over.
If I didn't do weird shit when you're around, you'd never know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I spoke to you. I didn't just get up and leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done that a few times.
Yeah.
Oh, have you?
This one girl he dated, I ended up not liking her because she was basically a succubus and draining him dry of his, will to live and his finances. And I was like, yeah. And then she discovered what it's like when I don't like someone. She's like, oh, he doesn't like me. I'm like, mm-mm. Get out,
Not
bitch.
Not at all.
That's awesome.
Like, we've been through that one.
Oh, yeah. She was hard. She almost broke up our friendship because, like everybody else saw it, but he didn't see it because he was so blinded by it, Like his family were all talking like, ah. She was just like this spoiled little rich girl that was, would just manipulate him to get anything she wanted. And it's like, he doesn't have a lot of money. He's in college.
Yeah.
It's like
He's
doesn't
a struggling college student woman.
Yeah. It's like you have daddy's credit card. He does not.
Yeah, that can be real tough. We've had a few friends who have gone through that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Most of them haven't stuck around because they've some of them are still involved in that, unfortunately.
Oh, it was horrible. She would just psychologically abuse him and stuff like that too. And she almost drove him to suicide. And because
Holy crap.
she like broke up with him and then married some old rich guy a week later.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was like it was like one of those weird things where I just felt it in my bones. Something's wrong with my buddy. I need to give him a call, and I called him right before he was about to do something really stupid. And I'm like, oh man, he told me the whole thing. I'm like, that's why I just had that like psychic feeling like something's wrong. I need to give him a call. And it's like, and I'm like, oh, that's like, now you see what I had said about her for all these years. Like, yeah, you were right. I'm like, mm-hmm.
Why didn't you see this a few years ago?
She's an evil succubus bitch. She's evil.
They exist.
She's using you the whole entire time.
That was an awesome phrase. I'm gonna have to steal that one.
Oh, she tried to like years ago. She tried to friend me on Facebook over and over again. I'm like, no. No.
I love how people want to be friends on social media, but you weren't friends in real life.
And I was like,
What's bad is when you live in a small area and like where we are, or I am. I didn't escape. So I'm in a small area and like people will be all over you on social media. Then you see them in Walmart and they're like, but bitch, you just liked 57 of my memes and commented on every one. But hey.
Or the opposites, where they're just being a total jackass to you on social media, and you see them in real life, they're like, "Sup, dude?"
Yeah, they're not slick at the mouth no more when you get in person. It's like, yeah, these can reach you now.
Yeah, yeah. I've had that happen several times. They're like, "I'm so sorry, I talked to you that way." I'm like, "Mm-hmm."
Now you're sorry because we're in person.
Yeah. Now it's awkward.
Yeah.
It's like
just tell them you have a hacksaw. Just say, look here, I have a hacksaw and I know how to use it.
Yeah. And I'm the same way. It's like on social media and off social media. So like, yeah, I will call you out in person too. I don't care. I'm my mom's son. It's like I come from a family of strong Southern women. They don't hold back.
No, the only thing they do is tell you in a nice way, bless your heart. And you got to figure out which meaning that means. Was that
bless your heart?
I feel bad for you, or you're a horrible
my grandmother
person?
was the best at that. She would eviscerate, because she was an English teacher as well. So she had a mastery of the English language, and she could just eviscerate someone with the biggest, sweetest smile on her face, and she had that old Georgian accent. And you had no idea that she had called you a dumb son of a bitch. You're just like, thank you. Oh, she is so sweet. She's like, she just said you're the biggest piece of shit, that you're stupid. You have no idea.
See, I didn't have that. My grandmother would just tell you, if you don't go away, I'm gonna throw you through that glass window.
Oh yeah.
Miss Marie was like this tall, but I promise you, she made up for it in everything else.
Yeah, that was like my godmother too. She would just flat out just like, my mom too. My mom would not hold back. I have my mom's temperament at times, so I'm like, I have a mixture of my dad's and my mom's temperaments. My dad's very quiet, reserved, but my mom was. She would just go off on people all the time. She didn't care. She did not care. And so I have my dad's temperament until you cross that line. Then I become my mom, and it's like. And then I'm like, I'm sorry.
That could be the only way I could reconcile you with being Art and being yourself, because you were so polite and so nice, and I'm like, man, this dude kills people on a regular.
Yeah.
In the movies.
Oh yeah, that's how it would go. Though sometimes it's like on set, they're like, if I'm not doing something hard enough or violent enough, they're like, David, pretend it's such and such and so and so, and I'm like, okay. Ah! They're like, whoa, you do not like that person. I'm like, no, I do not.
So who do you got during the Super Bowl this week?
Oh, I don't know. I don't really watch the Super Bowl. I don't really care. I was the only football I ever paid attention to was Auburn football. That's what I grew up on.
Okay.
Yeah, because my dad was Auburn.
At least you wasn't a Roll Tider. I'll give you that.
Oh God, no! They're the most obnoxious fans out there. I have some in my own family. I said, you're still obnoxious.
I will say that for years I wouldn't even follow Georgia football because of that. Because like I was a pro fan and not a college fan at all for
Yeah.
that very reason. Because most college fans, like pro fans, like you can even have Falcons and Saints fans who hate each other,
Hmm.
but they can watch a game together.
Yeah.
Afterwards, it's done. You may hear a hoot at or whatever, rise up. But you get Bulldog fans and another college team.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
Oh, I
Like
know.
brothers and sisters are cutting each other in the South over SEC
Oh,
football.
my grandfather was valedictorian of Georgia, so he was a huge Georgia fan. Huge Georgia fan. So he hated both Auburn and Alabama. He was always trying to make me a Georgia fan. He was always trying. He would come over and have Georgia shirts and hats for me. And I would sometimes, my mom's like, okay, you can wear that as long as it's not Alabama. It's like, that's what people don't understand outside of Alabama. They do not understand the Alabama-Auburn rivalry. That's the oldest college rivalry in history here in the United States. They do
The
not
Iron Bowl is
understand.
very serious.
It's very, very, very serious. And just like, and it's been weird because I've been away from Alabama for about 15 years. So I'm not nearly as serious about it as I used to be because I've just been away from it for so long. But I remember like one year when I was on tour of Grinch, the Iron Bowl was on my birthday too. And it's the one where we had that, the 98 something yard touchdown reversal in the last few seconds of the game,
Yeah,
which was
yeah.
like that won the game because it was tied up by it was an amazing play. And I went nuts. Like no one had ever seen me go nuts like that before. Because I'm around theater people that usually don't watch sports anyway, and I'm just so I was watching it with all the tech guys because we're in between shows, and I just start, oh shit. And everybody's like, we have never seen this side of you, David. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm a different beast in front of an Auburn football game, especially the Iron Bowl. I'm a totally different
That's
person.
the
So
only
is
day
my
of the year
dad.
Georgia fans cheer for Auburn.
Yep. That's what my grandfather would say too. And his daughter went to Alabama, and she's like, I hate Alabama.
Uh, well, in one aspect, I got lucky. My daughter didn't go to Alabama, but she went to Southern. So I mean, that's.
Yeah.
But bless her, she did get to see a guy's leg amputated the other day. She
Wow.
called me with this, and she's going to nursing school, and she's like a mini me, unfortunately, for her boyfriend. And she's like, Dad, I got to see a guy's leg get amputated. I said, how'd that go? She said, well, I ended up puking.
Yep.
She said she was good, through most of it. But then the guy said, oh, I got some bone in my, some marrow in my eyebrow. And she said, when the guy said that, she yacked everywhere. And I started laughing. I said, hit him with that Art the Clown there. And she was like, Daddy, no.
It's funny how that can be. It's like it's my aunt was a physical therapist, and she would talk about all the stuff they had to do, all the dissections and stuff like that. And she said they would just try to keep themselves sane sometimes by taking people's eyeballs and bouncing the eyeballs around like bouncy balls.
Well, she's grown up around the macabre, so to speak, but it's like, I guess the difference in seeing it in person versus to the screen is like, as much as I love horror, when my daughter was born, that's probably the worst I have ever been. Is like, afterwards they were cleaning her mother up, and the doctor pulls the afterbirth out, and there's just old metal bowl there, and he slings that afterbirth in there, and the sound it made, I turned white as a ghost. There's a picture of me, and I'm a very tan man in the summertime, very tan. I got Indian roots. And I was white as a ghost, and I'm just like,
oh my God,
that's
great. That remember because I got my degree in education in college, and so I had to take a child development class, and we watched the birthing videos, they called it, where they show you the different types of births. You have the natural childbirth, you have the C-section, you have the epidural, and we watched all of it, and they showed everything. And it was like me, classroom full of girls, and like 3 guys that were PE majors, big jocks, just big tough guys. And here I am, scrawny little nerdy David. And my professor's like, "Okay, I'm just gonna warn you guys in the room. Girls are usually fine handling this. I warn you, it's okay if you get woozy. And those guys are, oh no, we're gonna be fine. Yeah, we're fine. We're tough. Ha 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 ha. And they're watching the videos. The first, as soon as the baby starts crowning, all of a sudden you just hear this thump, thump, thump. All three of those guys just passed right out. And I just turned around and looked at them on pussies.
You knew then you had a bright future in the slasher.
Because I was looking at it from like a scientific standpoint. I was like, oh, this is actually fascinating. I did not know it could really stretch like that. And wow, woo, all this stuff. So I found it fascinating. I was like, I didn't get grossed out by it, but it was just so funny seeing those guys are just, I mean, they were right before, we're tough.
I would have never thought
Yeah. I would have passed out. I was in the room when they did this. My kid and I went around the other side of the curtain. I was like, nah, I don't need to see this.
And it might be different also, though, when it's your loved one, though, that you're seeing all that happen with, though. So that might be a different scenario. I might even get a little bit woozy then, too.
Yeah, it can be interesting. Yeah. It's
a few extra stitches in her, so.
Yeah. It's like you got to have a strong disposition for that. Definitely don't eat right before it, because it's like I don't think, I'm glad I have seen those videos now, so I know what to expect if I ever have kids one day and I'm in the room. Because boy, if someone's not expecting that, to see something like that,
yeah,
woo, that's an eye-opening experience for a lot of guys.
Yes, sir, it is. Yes, sir, it is. Thankfully, I wasn't at that end. I stayed at the top, but just the sound of that.
Yeah, it's not what they show in movies.
It is not. It is not.
There's fluids and fecal matter and everything.
It makes a totally different sound on the middle bowl.
Yep.
I'd have to say I would assume, after doing all the Terrifier series and stuff, that seeing anything like that now in person probably wouldn't faze you as much as it might have before.
No, it really doesn't. It takes a lot to faze me now when I'm watching horror movies. I'll sit here eating a hamburger and there's like, that's a good kill.
Yeah, I have to. If I was sitting there eating, I'm like, I can't watch this right now. I got to come back to it after I eat. Yeah.
That was actually something I was wondering about before I started filming these, because I was like, okay, how's it going to be for me to eat on set? Because they're going to have all these prosthetics everywhere, all these appendages and stuff like that, just sitting right next to where I'm eating it. Am I going to be able to stomach? Yeah. And I was like, oh, I was fine.
How do you make it? Are you able to actually kind of eat a little something, or how does that work?
It's kind of hard because I can't bite into things because the makeup's so, just fragile. And so I have to eat everything with a fork, which sucks when they order food that's like pizza or a hamburger or something like that you have to bite into. Yeah. So I have to sit there like a little bastard with a knife and fork and like cut my pizza into little bites and like very meticulously try to get it into my mouth without touching my makeup. I'm like, this is and people think it's so funny watching me eat because I'm very dainty. And it's like, I swear there's got to be some good footage out there of me eating pizza with a fork and knife, and I'm just sitting there, just like, they just play some of that like fancy schmancy harpsichord music behind me.
Yeah, the serial killer clown over the pinkies out.
Yep. It's just like, it's got to look so silly. It's got to look so silly. Because I'm just like, yeah, I'm hungry. And you just see everybody else just tearing into slices of pizza, and I'm like, fuck you.
That's where your co-stars get their payback. They're like, you remember when I was hung upside down for like a day?
Yeah. Like, I'm like,
You remember those 32 takes of you tossing me around?
Yep.
There you go. Because you couldn't follow through. You were trying to,
Yeah. Oh, man, I felt so stupid. I felt so stupid.
I will say that Hassel is so excited to see part 2. He brings it up every time we talk.
Oh, it's something. It's over 2 hours long too. It's about 2 hours and 15 minutes, I think. give or take. It's just.
So this is one of them you can take the family to, or I will take the family to.
Oh yeah, it's a family picture.
It's a family picture. We'll take them there.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. It's just we originally I think his first cut of it was like 2 hours and 45 minutes, and he's like, yeah, we can't have it that long, so we cut some things, but it's like we try to cut as much as possible because we're like, yeah, it's 2 hours. You don't have 2 hour slasher movies usually, and
so is it cut like from being screened? Is it cut like before filmed or after filmed?
Oh, after, yeah, we cut things afterwards.
We might get a director's cut at some point.
Yeah, maybe. I would hope so because there's so much stuff that I know he had to cut just for content reasons. But like, he got to the point. It was like, if I cut any more, it's gonna leave out major important things that happen in the film. So, hey, it's gonna be over 2 hours. But at the same time, we're at a time where people are used to sitting through a 3 hour Marvel movie. So
that's what I was just going to say. Us nerd fans that love horror and all this, we sit for 3 hours for a Marvel film every day, or even a Snyder cut of DC movie, which is rare. Yeah. So we will sit there for a 3 hour horror movie. You tell them stick to his guns. We got.
And that's the important thing is that you keep them entertained. As long as you keep them entertained, they're not going to mind sitting through a 2 hour plus movie. It's just like, it's like people sat through Midsummer. That was a long movie too.
Yeah, it was actually.
And that was actually a slow burn. Terrifier is not a slow burn. It's constant going. I mean, we have our lulls in there just so people can catch their breath, but they're not long lulls at all. There's, I think the longest is maybe 7 minutes, and then it's back to then back to something crazy happening. I would say
it's like a good marathon. In other words,
it's going to take you on a ride. And like the last third of the movie, especially once it gets to one scene, it just does not stop until credits roll.
So you got to be like a kid at Christmas now, because now I'm even more excited than I already was.
It kills me. I can't tell people about stuff. There's
my fiance is not going to be able to deal with me tonight when she comes home. So she's already probably already going, when can I come home? But when she does, she's not going to be able to deal with me tonight. It won't be ridiculous.
I will say it ends on a very cool kill scene that probably would get us a NC-17 rating in itself. Is just like, and it's I doesn't really spoil anything, but the first 10 minutes of the movie, there's no spoken dialogue between characters.
Oh wow, that's
what's up.
So it's Art doing his thing.
Do we tie back to the other movies, kind of like how the
he always gets into a good question when it does.
I know!
That's the best part of it. That's what makes it funny for me. Because I get
I assume he's saying, is it going to tie back into the first film? Yeah. And I will say, yes, it does. We start basically where the last film left off.
Okay.
So you might see what happens to a certain character.
Yeah, because I'm trying to remember the first one, because again, you have to forgive me, I haven't seen it because, like I said, I was scared of Art the Clown. I'm not gonna lie, but I do read the plot of a lot of the movies, and the main female lead, she survives the first one, right? Or she's still alive?
Yes,
again, maybe
she still survives. Yeah,
she becomes the killer.
We'll see. I don't want to spoil anything. So yeah, but
let me know when I'm active.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a certain character from part one that might be coming back. That you see what happens to this person. So there might be more characters from part one that come back. I don't know. Maybe I'm fucking with you all, and we decided to ignore part one.
That's all right. We're gonna watch it anyway. Hassel's gonna watch it multiple times. I'm gonna see it once to see if I can survive it. Because I'm sure that he's gonna scare me.
So. Well, I will say you're gonna love our new female lead though, Lauren Lavera. She is amazing as Sienna in this thing. I think she brings things to a new level. She brought me up to a new level. She's just an amazing actress. And it's just such a badass character. It's actually a character that Damien had in his head before he even had Art in his head. He's always wanted to bring to life. She's very kind of Ellen Ripley type of character. That's
awesome.
Yeah, so it's like, because I looked at it this way. It's like, Art needs the Batman to his Joker, someone that can actually be on his level in that way, and just
wow.
Yeah, that can go toe to toe with him. And so this is really not just Art's film; it's her film as well. So it's just like, kind of I look at Terrifier 1 was his origin, Terrifier 2 is her origin.
Oh, that's
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah, but Art is I will say Art is front and center. Don't worry, he's not going to just be in there for like 5 minutes. He's in. I say they basically share equal screen time in this.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Alright.
looking forward to seeing it. As much as clowns freak me out, I'm gonna go watch this one. I'm gonna have to
That's
go back
good.
and watch the first one too. And now,
Oh,
now
yeah.
that I can say,
Hey,
now that I can say, hey, I know who this is behind the
Yeah.
makeup. I can sit down and watch it now.
there you
Like,
go,
yeah, it's
Monster.
just
There
Dave.
you
It's
go.
just Dave being crazy.
Am I back at least at this point, or
yeah,
you're
you
back.
made it back. You made it back. I
Okay.
mean, we were all right without you, but you made it back.
Oh,
you know what? I'm the bad part of the show, but still.
Oh, don't
That-
worry
th-
about
Actually,
it.
what I was trying to get out before I got cut off by my shitty internet at MediaCom. So if I'm at MediaCom, if you're listening, but yeah, I liked how some of the characters from Terrifier were in All Hallows Eve,
Mhm.
like the reporter at the very beginning. She's like the babysitter from the other one.
Yeah.
You kind of tie it around. That's why I was just curious. Did we get some little subtle throwbacks like that in this one here?
I would say there are less of those throwbacks in this one.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah. There's some fun little Easter eggs in there that might tie into part 1 as well, which I thought were cool if you know where to look, and might explain some things. I'm hoping some people catch some of those. One
Monster,
especially.
I'm happy to educate you on these.
Yeah. There's one especially that explains a character I feel in part 1 better in some ways. And I'm
Okay.
like, but it's not. It's a very quick and you might miss it type of Easter egg. But I'm like, oh. And I was so happy Damien put that in there because it's like an idea I came up with. I was like, Damien, please tie this into this. I think this would be a great way to bridge, like, flesh out this one character more.
Did Mike get to do a cameo of some sort, or kind of like a?
He was my arm in one scene.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he returns to the role in some way or another.
Yeah,
Huh?
there was a prosthetic one night that we only had one chance at demolishing it. We didn't have a backup, and I have horrible depth perception, and I was also going on fumes at that time. I was really tired, and I was like, I don't know if I will hit this, and I don't want to fuck up this shot. And he's like, I'll do it. I'm like, okay, you do it. So he put on the costume and swung at this thing and knocked it out of the park. I'm like, good, you did it better than I could have.
So he come out of retirement for one night, huh?
This is Mike Levy, not Mike Gianelli, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Mike Gianelli. No, I realized. Oh yeah, they're different mics. Yeah, Mike Gianelli, who was the original art. No, I still think we need to put him into one of these at some point.
Yeah, I just figured, at some point he's got to ease in there as like a subtle cameo or something.
Somehow, I have a fun idea how to do it. And I see if Damien does it. Who knows? It's like I said, it's all up to Damien.
Maybe as a pizza slice guy,
Yeah, I come up with so many ideas. He's like, nope. I'm like, or he'll just take the idea and it's like, I like that, but here's what we can do and make it better. I'm like, cool. So that's why.
So what you got to do is you got to Jedi mind trick him, like,
yeah,
you kind of want to do this.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what's fun though. It's like that's why I have no problem just going to him with ideas, because he sometimes, if he doesn't necessarily take the idea I come up with, he might come up with another thing to do with that. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. So let's do that instead. So it might just spark something in his head. It's like, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I know we've asked you a ton, and we've gone to a ton about the Terrifier, but do you have any other upcoming projects or anything that you can share with us, or that you wanted to plug? Or
Oh, I just had a movie that I have just a small bit part in at the very beginning called The Dark Offerings that just came out on Amazon Prime, so you can watch.
I've seen the preview of that.
Yeah. I'm kind of like the Drew Barrymore at the beginning, so that was kind of fun. We shot that all during the pandemic, exclusively over Zoom.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
During the worst part of the pandemic too, so that was insane. So that was an experience having to act with people through a computer screen instead of being with them in person. That was really challenging. But we did it, and I think it came out pretty well. Also, I'm working on another film. We're almost done filming. They took a break to raise some more money because they wanted to add another big kill into the movie. But it's called Stream, not Scream. Stream, like you stream something online. And we're hoping it's going to be another franchise as well. And it's the Fuzz and the Lens guys that were in Terrifier and helped us with Terrifier 2 as well. Mike Levy, who was the exterminator that I decapitated, he's directing this.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and his brother Jason's in it and all that. Damien's doing the practical effects for it. But what's even cooler, this is kind of like an Expendables version of a slasher movie. So we have a lot of big name horror icons in this. Jeffrey Combs, Dee Wallace, Danielle Harris, Felissa Rose, Dave Sheridan, Tony Todd, Donna Roebuck, me, I guess. So it's
don't sell yourself short there.
Yeah, but being on set with all those legends, people I grew up with, it's just like being on the same movie with all these people is pretty cool. And it's a cool concept. It's about this family that goes on to a vacation in a hotel, and the hotel gets put into lockdown, and these 4 killers are on the loose inside of it.
I saw something about that recently. I didn't know I didn't realize that you were in it, but yeah, I seen something about that where there's 4 killers in the hotel, and family's on vacation. The dad's a workaholic or something, and they go on vacation to work on or I say dad, might be just husband, but goes on vacation to work on relationship or whatever. Family time. Yeah,
it's a fun concept, and it's the ideas that they told me about the whole trilogy they have at least in mind for it is a really cool idea. So I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be fun. The kills are gnarly.
Oh,
how striking is it just to listen to Tony talk?
Oh, it's just awesome. He's so cool. Unfortunately, we weren't on set together, but we've been at so many conventions and stuff like that. So we bonded over that. So it's like I made him his voice.
It was like
wonderful.
I was like, wow.
I love that he's doing the voice of Venom in the new Spider-Man game. So I'm just like, yes,
yeah, finally.
He did the Venom voice for me too. I was like, oh God. Yes.
That would be a nerdgasm right there.
Yeah,
that would definitely be
that's how Venom needs to sound. Thank you. That's perfect, Tony. Thank you. And he is just the nicest, coolest dude in real life.
He is.
He's just the biggest sweetheart. They all are, really. That's fun. All of us that played these horrible killers, they're all big teddy bears and funny guys in real life.
He was super sweet and cool with me when I met him, and I got a autograph and a picture with him. Unfortunately, I have an autograph with because he was like, I didn't know what I kind of got struck by him,
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, well, what you want to put on here? I said, any line you want. So he jotted one down, and it's in cursive. I can't read it. I have it hanging on my wall, and it's like and I can clearly read his autograph, but it's something above there. I'm like, I've watched this movie thousands of times, and I don't know what the fuck is on my figure.
He should have just written any line you want.
He could have probably done that, and I just don't know it because it's kind of in very pretty cursive, and I'm just like,
yeah,
thanks, I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, he's a cool dude. He's a cool dude. So I'm like, I hope to work with him in some other stuff too. So that'll be epic because he's a legend, man. He is a legend.
He's done so much. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. So that's what I've been up to. I might be they're right now also writing a script for Night of the Living Dead 2. And so they want me to be in that as well. And I shot a scissor reel for it last summer where they made me a big fat zombie.
Oh wow.
Really?
Yeah, you can find pictures of that on my Instagram page where I'm in this big fat zombie suit.
How have I missed this?
Yeah, I do not look like myself at all.
Wow.
Yeah, it's great. I have a big, huge, they call me shark bait zombie, and I have this big, huge shark bite bit out on my side.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to have me scouring Instagram at like 2 a.m. now.
Yeah. So
you're already in trouble. You have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm in the doghouse, buddy.
Uh-oh.
He stays there.
Oh yeah.
He does. He does.
Just bring your video games in with you. You'll be fine.
Yeah, she knows. She humors me. God bless her. She's the sweetest soul because she puts up with all my nerd shit and.
That's good. That's good. I need to find someone like that.
Hey, she's got family. South Georgia.
I like how
You
you
never
just
know.
offered them all up.
We'll barter up some loved ones here, you know.
Yep.
Just take nothing more than a visit. That's all. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. Get hit, shotgun wedding.
No, we'll leave the firearms out of it.
That's probably safer down there.
Yeah.
Well, sir, not that we want to cut you short or anything, but I know we want to be respectful of your time. I know we've kept you for about 2.5 hours here.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah. Oh, my God. I need to make dinner.
Yeah. So we didn't want to. We very much appreciate the time and the participation. I mean, it was great to get to do this. And again, I told you earlier when we started, Hassel said if we were going to ever get a celebrity guest, you were the first person he wanted. So we were blessed that you were willing to come on and do this with us. So.
Oh, I'm honored, man. I'm so glad we got this to work.
Yeah. The forces of the internet and Skynet worked against us for a little while there, but we got it on board and it turned out to be wonderful, and we can't thank you enough. We are so
thank you. And I hope to see you both at a convention soon.
Absolutely. Yeah. Monster's got to get there. He's in your neck of the woods first. So, Monster, we're holding you to that.
Yeah, I got to look up the dates, I hope, so I can get some things set aside and make sure I got time to make it there. But,
I'll be getting down to Atlanta again sometime. You know, I'd love it down there. So. Yeah. I'll be down there. And then he freezes again.
That just makes it all the much better.
I know. It's like,
He's praising you because that's what he's doing anyway.
I know. This is great. We're not worthy. Kidding.
No, we really do appreciate you coming on. It was fantastic, and we appreciate you. And hopefully, when it comes time for Terrifier 2 to come out, maybe you can come back and visit us again. And
of course, then I can actually talk about things.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about right there.
Yeah, I'm like,
so you came back for
that scene. Do you see what I did? All the blood. Oh my God. Well, you guys take care. Have a good night. All right.
Thank you, sir. You have a great evening. Again, we appreciate it.
All right. See you soon, guys.
See you.
All right, Monster. Here we are at Nerd Out Time, and just before we get into that, we just want to give another special thanks to David Howard Thornton. Such an amazing guy, such a sweetheart of a fella. He was a genuine guy. Thank you so much.
Fantastic actor, great human being, wonderful to talk to. Couldn't speak highly enough of him.
Monster, we're at Nerd Out, one of my favorite parts of the show here. So I'm gonna let you lead out because I laid out last week.
Yeah, well, I want to go to a question that we actually asked Mr. Thornton when he was on here with us. What's some of your dream roles? And so, I'll pose the question to you: if you were an actor and you could be in any movie you wanted to and be in any character, what would be your dream role? What would you like to play?
John Holmes, maybe. No. I don't think I quite fit the criteria of that. But I don't know, Monster. I'm a pretty large fella. I'm 6'4", hefty guy. So I would like to play Leatherface in a serious reboot of Chainsaw Massacre. Not, this shit we've got since 2003. 2003 was a great reboot. It done well. But now it's time for another one. And I'd love to be Leatherface. That would be a good, fun role for me. And it fits me because I'm a big guy. And, I love doing this sort of thing anyway. So
that makes sense.
That's what I like to go with. What do you have?
This was a hard one for me because there's so many properties I like and so many things I'd like to do. But there's not a lot of characters that I fit the bill of, like my look and everything else. And I'm not sure I fit the bill of this character's look because I'm not that tall. I mean, I'm average height and I'm not skinny by any means. I'm a rather plump fellow. But I believe with my accent and just my southern upbringing, I could pull off Cannonball in a New Mutants or X-Men or X-Force movie, I should say. I'd rather see it be an X-Force and be Cannonball in that aspect, but only because of the accent. There's others I probably prefer to play more, but there's no way I'm pulling them off. I'm not even sure I could pull him off either. So.
Oh, yeah, I could get behind that. I could go with that. So I'm going to be honest. I am at a loss. I'm still being starstruck a little bit, from sitting there speaking so long with David. But let's see here. You got to write a horror comic. What horror comic do you write, and who is the focal point of this horror comic? Yeah, you have full control, creative control, nobody hampering you. You can use any characters you want from any whatever. What do you do?
So here's what I'd like to do, and I'm going to tell you that I'm getting this idea from staring at your collection behind you. But I would like to do a comic horror movie and have Hobgoblin actually taken over by Demon Goblin, and have a Demon Goblin centric, because in the comics he was all about trying to destroy other demons as well. He wasn't just he thought he was a good guy.
Yeah.
In his own mind, I would like to see that and see him actually taking on other, whether it's not necessarily even heroes, but other people that he deems as sinners and as demons, and him killing people in that aspect. And then maybe you could maybe get a trilogy or something out of that and pull out okay, he does this in the first movie and he gets away. Second movie, maybe he has to deal with a Marvel character, or by the third movie maybe you bring in a Doctor Strange or a Ghost Rider or somebody to actually fight against him. But I don't know. I'm not as big on a lot of the other horror characters, but I would like to see that.
So we're talking about a straight book, or are we going into animation, or?
I think you asked as a book, and my mind went immediately to an animated trilogy of movies.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, because you asked.
Well, that's
but
fine.
I might be a little. I might be a little brain tired and starstruck from speaking to David. Because
well, as soon as you morph the question, I'm going to morph the question as well, and I'm going to go with a Nightmare on Elm Street anime.
That could be good.
And when I say anime, I'm talking more Fist of the North Star, Akira, not over the top. What you get on Cartoon Network.
Yeah, I could
with the
definitely
big
see
eyes
Akira.
and stupid shit like that. None of that. But an Akira, Fist of the North Star, Kashan, this type of serious anime, you could involve Robert Englund as a voice, because God knows he's still got the pipes. And there's so much you could do. God Almighty, you could, just do. You could have some serious death scenes. And anime, had some brief nudity here or there, so you could have your hard R, whatever you have in slasher movies back in the 80s before they got, neutered, so to speak, in the late 90s. That could be so good. So good. And it could just dive straight into the mythology deep.
Yeah. And there's so much stuff, like, especially like if you look at something like Akira, where there was so much. Freddy tried to do a lot of body horror, but you couldn't do that much on the screen at the time. There's so much you could do in an animated, especially one like an Akira, that's pretty much all that movie was at some points.
Yeah, like the Johnny, bed scene, as amazing as that is, that's still one of the more iconic, death scenes of all time. That is something pretty common in an anime. Could you imagine what they could do with that?
Oh God!
In an animated style, a serious animated style.
Yeah, that would be creepy, freaky, to be honest.
It would be. That would be my go-to.
Wow.
Maybe with a teaser at the end for a Freddy versus Jason, with a serious Jason, not that Frankenstein bullshit we got.
Well, with that, I think that covers us for the episode. And thank you, everybody, again, for coming to check out this very special episode with our special guest star. And great interview. Again, a wonderful human being. We thank him so much for coming and joining us. But also, don't forget, check out our sponsors, Zone Collectibles. Look to them for all your nerdy needs. You can find them at TheZoneCollectibles at Gmail. You can find them on Facebook at These Old Collectibles. Help support their cause of bringing unity through community. Fandoms unite. Also, remember that we do have a giveaway going on right now, and you have until the 15th to enter. Just comment on any of our social media platforms, and that'll enter you for a chance to win. We will be announcing that on our episode next week. We will have another episode later this week. Look for that to come out probably by the end of the week. But with that, that brings everything to a close for today. Hassel, can you tell them where to find us at?
You can find us on Facebook and Instagram, Nerdy Manroom Show. You can find us on Twitter at NerdyMR Show. And we are always available on YouTube, the Nerdy Manroom Show. Click like, subscribe, share, hit the bell for the notifications to know when we upload new content. Just Show us some love, people, and we'll show you some love.
And remember, if you enjoyed this or any of our other content, give us a like, subscribe, comment, or share. That will enter you also into the contest that we have going on. And join us here later this week for a special episode, and you'll get to check out all the con coverage that Hassel was able to do, as well as catch our news updates. Until then, live nerdy and run from the clowns.